नित्य लीला कृष्ण पाद स्तोत्र सत्य श्री श्रीमद भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी ठाकुर प्रभुपाद की जाय। शिला भक्ति विनोद ठाकुर की जाय। शिला गौर किशोर दास बाबू जी महाराज की जाय। शिला जगन्नाथ दास बाबू जी महाराज की जाय। श्री श्रीनिवास श्यामानंद प्रभु ठाय की जाय। श्री विश्वनाथ चक्रवर्ती ठाकुर पाद की जाय। श्री रूप सनातन भट्ट रघुनाथ श्री जीव गोपाल भट्टदास रघुनाथ गोस्वामी की जाय। प्रेम से को श्री कृष्णा चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैताग्रहा शिवाश्री गौर भक्तवृंद की जाय। श्री अंतवेद मायपुर शिवंतवी कोलद्वीप जानवी मोडा डोमरीड रुद्रट विपद्मक श्री नवदीप धाम की जाय। वृंदावन धाम की जाय। श्री श्यामकुंड राधिका यमुना गंगा तुलसी भक्ति देवी की जाय। श्री गिरिराज गोवर्धन महाराज जू की जाय। चार संप्रदाय की जाय। नरसिंह भगवान की जय। भक्तवरा श्री प्रहलाद महाराज की जाय। श्रीमती श्री कृष्ण प्रिय दीदी की जय। श्री मधुसूदन महाराज की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। समगत भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री श्री गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। So I'm going to sing. I'm going to start off with bhajan for Gurudev. So page 360, Gurudev Kripa Karke. गुरुदेव कृपा करके मुझको अपना लेना। गुरुदेव कृपा करके मुझको अपना लेना। मैं शरण पड़ा चरणों में जगा देना। मैं शरण पड़ा चरणों में जगा देना। चरणों में जगा देना। चरणों में जगा देना। गुरुदेव कृपा करके मुझको अपना लेना। गुरुदेव कृपा करके मुझको अपना लेना। करुणा निधि नाम तेरा करुणा बरसाओ तुम। सोए हुए भाग्यों को हे नाथ जगाओ तुम। हे नाथ जगाओ तुम। हे नाथ जगाओ तुम। मेरी नाव भंवर डोले उस पार लगा देना। मेरी नाव भंवर डोले उस पार लगा देना। गुरुदेव कृपा करके मुझको अपना लेना। गुरुदेव कृपा करके मुझको अपना लेना। तुम सुख के सागर हो भक्ति के सहारे हो। मेरे मन में समाये हो। मुझे प्राण से प्यारे हो। मुझे प्राण से प्यारे हो। मुझे प्राण से प्यारे हो। नित माला जपूं तेरी मेरे दोष भुला देना। गुरुदेव कृपा करके मुझको अपना लेना, गुरुदेव कृपा करके मुझको अपना लेना। मैं संतों की सेवक हूँ, गुरु चरणों की दासी हूँ। मैं संतों की सेवक हूँ, गुरु चरणों की दासी हूँ। नहीं नाथ भुलाना मुझे, इस जगह में अकेली हूँ। नहीं नाथ भुलाना मुझे, इस जगह में अकेली हूँ। इस जगह में अकेली हूँ, इस जगह में अकेली हूँ। तेरे द्वार की भिखारी हूँ, नहीं दिल से भुला देना। तेरे द्वार की भिखारी हूँ, नहीं दिल से भुला देना। गुरुदेव कृपा करके मुझको अपना लेना, गुरुदेव दया करके मुझको अपना लेना। मैं शरण पड़ा तेरी चरणों में जगा देना। मैं शरण पड़ा तेरी चरणों में जगा देना, चरणों में जगा देना, चरणों में जगा देना। गुरुदेव कृपा करके मुझको अपना लेना, गुरुदेव दया करके मुझको अपना लेना। जय गुरुदेवा, जय गुरुदेवा, गुरुदेवा जय गुरुदेवा, जय गुरुदेवा, जय गुरुदेवा, गुरुदेवा जय गुरुदेवा। हरि बोल, हरि बोल, हरि बोल निताय गौरा, हरि बोल निताय गौरा, हरि बोल, हरि बोल, हरि बोल निताय गौरा, हरि बोल। Jai Gurudev.
Jai Gurudev. Thank you, Nalini. Beautiful as ever. Thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah? Yeah, can hear you.
Vancha kalpa turbischa, kripasunduevacha, patitanam pavanabhyo, vaishnavabhyo namamaha. Om again, Tirmandasya, Gyanjana Salakya, Chakshur Militamyana, Tasmai Shri Guru Namaha. Chinadapi Sunichana, Tarodapi Sahishnuna, Manina Manadina, Kitini Sadahari, Tatenukampam Susamukshamano, Bunjana Vetma Kritam Vipakam, Hitvafapupi Vididam Namaste, Jivatayo Mukti Satayabak. Anya Blasta Sunyam Gyan Kamadhyana Vritam Anukalenya Krishna Shilam Bhakti Uttama Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Dandavat Pranams. Hello, Dandavat Pranams, dear God brothers and God sisters, God fathers, God mothers, God uncles and aunties, God nephews and nieces, cousins, first cousins, second cousins, and God daughters and God sons. This is the 26th glorification of Gurudev out of 64 that we're doing. And we have a very, very tasty lineup today, this morning, this afternoon, whichever time zone you're in. And I want to say a big thank you for everyone who came on the London Ecstatic Sankirtan yesterday. We had 2 Maharajas there, Ashram Maharaj and Nemi Maharaj. It was absolutely blissful. And more than 40 people came. So it was we really had a good volcanic explosion yesterday. It was wonderful in the center of London. So thank you so much. And thank you, Shadari, for live streaming it as well, because a lot of people love it when they see the London Sankirtan going on. So today is the 26th out of 64 that we're doing for Gurudev's centennial. That means by the end of today, we will be at the equivalent of 9:45 a.m. and calculating it in the terms of the day of Brahma. For those of you, probably only about one of you that's interested, we are now on the 5th Manu out of 14, and we're on the 48th Chatur Yuga, and we're in we're 1,242,000 years into the Dwapar Yuga equivalent. So with that very exciting statistic, I feel like Dr. Spock on Star Trek giving you star date. I'm going to now share with you who our lineup is today. So we're going to be going over to Bolivia first, to Srimati, Lila, Madhuri, Didi, and then we'll be going to Florida for Sriman. I almost called you Shripad Prabhu. Sriman Nrsinga Prabhu. And then we'll be back in London for Sriman Shyam Prabhu. And then we'll be going back to America to New York State for Shriman Rasika Mohan Prabhu. So very exciting, very tasty international lineup. Before I hand over to Navalatika, who's going to be translating for Lila Madhuri, Yashadar, is there anything you'd like to add? You're on mute, by the way. No, you don't want to say anything. Nothing. Okay. I'll head over there. So, with a very warm welcome. Thank you for summoning the courage. I know some people it's quite a big deal speaking in public, and I really appreciate every effort made. And it's quite early in the morning there. So, warm welcome to you, Lila Madhuri. Please, it's a very sweet audience. Everybody is very encouraging, so no fear is needed. And Navalatika, good luck with the translation. Where is she?
She's with the name Ismail.
You're Ishmael. I was wondering who Ishmael was. Okay, fantastic. Yeah. Okay, great. Oh, okay. So we're doing translations in different places. This is great. I don't think we've done this before. Fantastic. Over to you, Didi. Warm welcome.
Okay, Didi tiene que prender su micrófono. Okay.
Ahora sí.
Ahora sí.
Om Ajnanati Mirandasya Janyanya Shalakaya Chachuru Militan Yena Tashmai Shri Gureve Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Srimad Bhakti Vedanta Narayana Iti Namine Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyayeva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaisnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Buenos días, good morning everyone. I am so happy to be here giving these words to my worship Gurudev, the most wonderful thing I have in my life. It's only because he's making me to talk about him because I don't know nothing. I am so fallen soul, and I don't know really nothing, but I am so happy and blessed to open my mouth to glorify this wonderful master in my life. He really changed all my days, every day. He's making me so amazing person. It's because he's in my life. When I met him through Bon Maharaj, and I met him also because Prabhupada, the wonderful soul Prabhupadas, came to us and saved us, and he gave us Gurudeva, and then Gurudeva, his kindness, bring all these wonderful devotees, his devotees around the world. And we had this opportunity to have a Bon Maharaj in our lives in Bolivia, and he brought Gurudeva to Bolivia, and then was very amazing because all we were really very sad, and we were very we didn't know how to really continue our path in devotional life. We were lost. But when Bon Maharaj came, he gave us Gurudeva, and Gurudeva had this wonderful bless to us, to give us a Harinam and then Diksha to us in Bolivia. And then he made us to go to India to really be with him face to face, to touch his feet, and to have this relation with him truly, to see his beautiful eyes, his smile. And it was amazing. It was very amazing to see him, and to see him in his chariot when he went out to around Vrindavana, how all the people in the town love him, goes, hugs, give the kisses, food, the money, everything to him. I was amazed. It was the first time in my life, and I saw this amazing love. I couldn't really understand. I was overwhelmed with this love and affection, and how the people love this wonderful master, Yoga Acharya. That moment I said, that's why is Yoga Acharya. Is that what my Guru did? Is his Yoga Acharya. I was amazing. When I went to Mathura, everybody was Radhe, 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 Radhe. I was, wow, my God. What a wonderful teacher I have. Thank you, Prabhupada. Prabhupada, you really are giving us this amazing teacher. And we were looking for him. We were waiting for him. Because when Prabhupada left his body, I didn't meet him in that time, of course, but we had that. But when we talked with the people and they knew Prabhupada and how was with them, that in that moment was empty. But we were trying to chant, we were trying to really be in touch with this bhakti. But when we met Gurudeva, was amazing. And every day it's amazing. It's amazing to have these wonderful brothers and sisters and cousins and this wonderful community of human beings. And we are trying truly with all our hearts to serve our Gurudev, to really in our hearts to be able to please him every time, every day, every second. And when I go to India, I go few times because it's not easy for South America people to go there. It's expensive. Oh, we don't have maybe the mercy to go every day for the parikrams. But when we go there, it's amazing. It is amazing how he can open our hearts, how he can make us to really be connected with him. And then when we come back, he's always in our mind, in our head. And I had so beautiful experience when I went for the first time to Navadvip Dam, 2009. I was going to give Shyam's Didi Reiki because I do Reiki. And I was going up to the stairs looking for the floor and which floor was it. And then I met this beautiful lady from India, but she was living in Australia. And she said, "Where are you going?" And I said, "I am going because I need to give Shyam's Didi Reiki." She said, "Please come with me. And I will, because I have my daughter is not well. She's ill and she needs you. Gurudev is sent me to meet you here in these stairs. Please come." He held my hand and she took me to her room. And her daughter was there and was her son too. And when I saw her daughter, I said, "Oh, I know you. I met you in Vrindavan. You were in Gurudev's room, and she was the person, and she was in charge who was going on to see Gurudev." And she said, "Yes, but she was like not really well." And I said, "Okay, I am going to give you a Reiki. The Reiki is Gurudev. Gurudev, he does everything through my hands, through my mouth. He is the Reiki to my life." And then I gave her the Reiki, and I gave the Reiki to the mother, her brother too. And then she said, "Oh, I felt so well. I felt happy, a peace." I said, "That's Gurudev. Gurudev is the only one, he can give you everything." And she said, "I know." And her mother said, "Yes, I know. We love Gurudev so much." Then I went 2-3 times more, but the mother said, I want to give you this to you. That's the exchange to your Reiki." I said, "Okay." And she gave me the seeds of the pomegranate. She said, "Please take this, it's for you." And I cried. And I cried because I had this wish in my heart. I said, I will love to have the pomegranate seeds, the one Gurudev chew in my mouth. One day I will love to have that. And Gurudev, he gave me this wonderful opportunity to chew these pomegranate seeds from his mouth. That's something so amazing. how can Gurudev is giving us all our wishes, the small ones to the big ones. And I have that faith. One day I will love Gurudev because that's what I am praying every day. Gurudev, I want to love you. I really want to love you. I don't love you because if I will love you, I will be really surrender to you, really, with all my heart. And I will really to be able to do what you want me to do. But I don't do that yet. I have so many material wishes yet. I have envy in my heart. I am very egocentric. I have big practice to me. I am very practistic. And I don't love you. But I know with my heart because I am trying every day to love you and to serve you and to be with you and to see your face. And I want, and he is giving so amazing things to me. You know, when he said we need to chant Govinda Damo Dharamada Govinda Damo Dharamada That song is amazing. When he explains, broom your house, iron your things, when you need to be with your husband, Govinda Damor Dharamada Beti, and I am doing now. I am doing every day, and it's amazing. It's something so amazing to do that in your life, brooming, cleaning, doing. The time became so amazing. The time is like eternal, because the time goes so fast. When you do that, everything comes in a very beautiful way. And I said, we need to follow every word Gurudev is telling us. Sometimes for me, for my life, because I am so falling down soul, it's difficult to follow everything. But the few things I am following really is making my life amazing. I am so grateful, happy, and I can explain how I feel these times to having Gurudev every day close and close in my life. And he is giving to us Navalatika. Navalatika translating these wonderful Harikatas from Prem Prayojan or from Gurudev's, the old tapes. And it's amazing. Also, he's giving us Charuchandrika, doing this wonderful, amazing videos, and how she talks. Manjulali Didi from India is giving us classes. Gurudev is giving us everything. He's putting all my wonderful sisters and brothers to serve him, to make us to understand more the Harikatha, make me understand more the essence of bhakti, what means to really follow the scriptures, what means to follow the philosophy, and not only to be in my heart to be only spontaneously more really deeper in and my connection with him, and why he liked it for us to follow this profound Vedas philosophy, the sense, and it's amazing how he is giving us this time in our lives, this everything, this centennial is going to not only to the Hare Krishna movement, is going further, more, everything, everyone. In my house, when I do Reiki, Gurudev is very strongly there, and he said, put these people to surrender to me. And I said, please, you need to surrender my Gurudev because he is the Reiki. And then because I do Tai Chi and I have many people to come to my house, and he said, you need to chant with them. Chant. And he makes me to make chant to the people I know, to introduce Hare Krishna movement to others, but it's his will, it's what he's doing to myself. I feel he is amazing how is with us every second, and we need to follow it. We don't need to forget that he is in ourselves. He is inside us. He is with us in every second. And we need to really hug everyone, because we don't hug, because Gurudev is hugging everyone through us. I feel that when I hug my brothers, my sister, my son, my daughter, I hug them. I said, Gurudev, you are hugging them to me. You are through me everything. I don't talk, you talk through me. I have this feeling, and it is making my life very different, very amazing. He's making my life different, very different. And I am so, I can, he's making my life amazing. And I give him my pranams, my dandavat pranams in his lotus feet. And I want him forgive me all my stupidities. Forgive me because I have so many anarthas, Gurudev. Forgive me. Forgive me because I don't love you. Forgive me because I am not surrendered truly to you. Forgive me, Gurudev, because you are giving so much to me. But I don't give you what you want me to give to you. Hare Krishna to everyone, and also forgive me and forgive all my offenses if I offend somebody, because I know I am very offensive person, because I am not realizing the Maha Mantra. It's why. And forgive me all if I really did something it's not appropriate. And Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Radhe Radhe, Radhe Radhe, Radhe Radhe. Pranams to everyone. Hare Krishna.
Lila, Madhuri, I'm so happy to meet you, even if it is by Zoom, because it's really, I think I'm right, maybe Yeshadari or not, if I am or not, but I think this is why we really want to do these kind of programs, because As you said, it's much harder for people in South America to get to India. I may never meet you if I didn't meet you on Zoom. And to feel not just that connection to you, but the connection you just gave me to Srila Gurudev through your sincerity and sweetness was palpable. And as you said many times, asombroso, asombroso, asombroso. So forgive my pronunciation, but that's meant to mean amazing in Spanish. Thank you so much, Navalatika, for arranging for Lila Madhuri to speak to us and to give us that real connection. I really felt that when you said something along the lines of, you know, Gurudev opens our hearts, and I felt that your sharing today really opened my heart, what to say of everyone else today. And when you talked about sharing the remnants of the pomegranate seed, I almost felt like I was taking those remnants while you were sharing it. So don't ever underestimate the power of the sweetness of your sharing. Please do more. Gurudev will be really happy. The more you share and the more you help give other people the connection you feel, then you're spreading the love and the mercy of Lord Nityananda Prabhu through Srila Gurudev. It's really very, very special. And I apologize, I forgot to mention that Didi took Harinam in 2004, and she took Diksha in 2005 by Skype and met Srila Gurudev personally in 2006. And that was just such a beautiful, sweet opening to our program today. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Dandavat. Please stay for the program if you can, if you have the time. And thanks once again, Navalatika, for arranging this.
Thank you for the opportunity.
So we're now going to go to Florida, to Sriman Nrsinga Prabhu, who is I have a feeling we're going to be seeing a lot of him as the years roll by. He's the son of our beloved Sripad Bhaktivedanta Bhagavat Maharaj, and he's a very, very sweet devotee with a lot of energy and a lot of heart. He was born a devotee, obviously, and he took Harinam, and he met Gurudev in 2003 when he was only 13, and 2 years later took Harinam at the age of 15, and took Diksha. Am I right? Took Diksha in 2010, Prabhu? Yeah, at the age of 20, and yeah, I can just see he's doing a lot of seva now in Florida, trying to help the devotees there, strengthen their devotional congregational activities. And he's just launched a men's retreat, which unfortunately I was invited to, but I can't go, but maybe I can zoom in somehow. It sounds great. The women are ahead of us on the retreats, Prabhu, so we need to catch up, maybe get a few tips. So yeah, so Nrsinga, really happy to warmly welcome you and really looking forward to your glorification of Srila Gurudev. Haribol.
Thank you, Prabhu. One thing, and this is not a cutting, but I guess because it's a forum, I'm trying to imbibe the mood that Sripad Bhagavat Maharaj is not my father. He's simply one of Gurudev's sannyasis, one of Prabhupada's dear beloved son. So I request in the future for all devotees to try to consider in that way. As Srila Bhaktivigyan Bharati Maharaj directly said, that I should see all relationships as how is that person connected to Krishna and not how they're connected to me.
I know he says the same thing, but he's so proud of you. I can't help it. So we can think both at the same time.
Both. Okay. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chaksho Militam Nena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Gurave Gaura Chandraya Radhikaya Tadalaya Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tarabhaktaya Namo Namah. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Shri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Narayana Nitinamane Shri Krishna Lila Katane Sudaksham Adarya Madhurya Gunashayuktam Puram Varanyam Purusham Mahantam Narayanam Tvam Shudasha Namami. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Kata Kripa Murtaye Srimate Gaur Govinda Goswami Nitinamane Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschyacha Deshatarane Shri Rupa Shri Sanatana Bhatta Raguna Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasara Guna Vanshakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bharevasha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Shtapetam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadanti Swapadantikam Anandalilamaya Vigrahaya Hema Badivya Stravi Sundaraya Tasmai Mahaprema Rasa Pradaya Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare. Dandavat, everyone. I'm feeling very shy to be here. I don't feel that it's my place. My opportunity for physical association with Srila Gurudev was extremely limited. And whilst the theoretical knowledge that physical association isn't the barometer of intimacy, still I feel that I have no intimacy with our Gurudev. In fact, I was reading a little bit from Srila Gurudev's Gurudeva Tatma, and this Svaitasavatar Upanishad, Yasya Deva Parabhaktir, Yatta Deve Tata Guru, Tasyaite Katita Hiyarta, Prakashante Mahatmana. Only unto those great souls who have implicit faith in both the Lord and the spiritual master are all the imports of Vedic knowledge automatically revealed. Implicit is a word that's often used as like implied, but in this verbiage here, the definition is actually unquestioning, unwavering, unconditional. This is the type of faith that we must develop in Srila Gurudev. That type of nishta that Srila Gurudev would say is the backbone of our bhakti and has to be developed in Guru and in Krishna. I think about this pastime that Srila Gurudev had with a couple of disciples of Srila Prabhupada, where he asked them, how is their bhajan that you've been chanting how many years now? 20 years, 15, 20 years, and some taste is coming? And they said that they're not really tasting anything. And Srila Gurudev was asking, well, then why are you still chanting? And he says, well, our Srila Prabhupada said that we have to chant 16 rounds a day. So every day we're chanting. Even no taste is coming, even no taste is coming. And Srila Gurudev told his brahmacharis, he says, you should have this type of nishta. Even if day by day you're executing these practices of devotional service, you're doing sadhana, and you don't experience any taste is coming, still, Gurudev told me I do it, so then I do it. And this is the type of mood that we all need to develop. I have to develop specifically. I find myself reflecting a lot on how Srila Gurudev had a variety of specialities. And oftentimes we can look at the concept of same wine, different bottle, but we get distracted by the bottle, right? So it's the concept like don't judge a book by its cover. We need to look at the internal to understand the real mood. And if we look at Srila Prabhupada's mission, Nirvishesh Shunyavad Paschyacha Deshatarane, that Srila Prabhupada's mission was starting with having to cut impersonalism and voidism out of the hearts of so many of the personalities throughout the world, and especially in the Western world. It was developing rapidly. So many so-called sadhus were coming. And so I look at the relationship between Srila Gurudev and Srila Prabhupada, and how Srila Prabhupada was cutting so many different things. But he gave these moods in a very, very covert way, sometimes overt, but oftentimes covert, the moods that Srila Gurudev shared. So what is their relationship? It's like if you cut down a field and you have a big empty plain. Srila Gurudev came behind Srila Prabhupada after that cutting, and he said, okay, the jewels are buried here. You can dig here, dig deeper here, dig deeper here, dig deeper here. And then in this way, as we dive deeper into this process, then we can actually start to relish. So Srila Gurudev had this unique speciality of unwavering, unimaginable focus on Srimati Radhika. Who could focus on Srimati Radhika like Srila Gurudev? No matter the topic, somehow Srila Gurudev would find, oh, but this is implying Srimati Radhika. This is implying we go to Srimati Radhika. He was completely focused in that way. And so he was able to look at all these different things that our Srila Prabhupada had done in his preaching seva and show us how Srimati Radhika is there in these things, how she is the Shakti behind everything. Our Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he was questioned on what is the viewpoint of Akhanda Guru Tattva in the perspective of Nityananda Prabhu and Srimati Radhika. And he was saying, actually, while it is generally accepted that Nityananda Baladev is Akhanda Guru Tattva, for those in Madhurya Ras, they can only see Srimati Radhika as Akhanda Guru Tattva. She is the original. Oh, is that okay?
Oh yeah, you just muted for about 10 seconds.
So she is Akhanda Guru Tattva. Srimati Radhika is the original source, the undivided principle of Guru, which means if we are to make offenses, aparad, we're distancing ourselves from Radha. And if she's the source of our Guru Varga, then we're distancing ourselves from Gurudev. So what type of offenses? So many different offenses are there. I am the most offensive, not the most anything actually, but I am very high on the list of offensive personalities. And so we have to reflect, I have to reflect, I think about how is Gurudev instructed that I can overcome the inclination to be offensive? That yes, our Sanatana Dharma is to be of service, that we're supposed to be engaged in the service of Krishna. But this is moment to moment that I'm making decisions and I keep engaging in my activities. So Srila Gurudev, he made a very clear process. I was listening to Harikatha this morning, and he was saying, everything is there in your Harinam. Everything is there in your Harinam. And if you're not experiencing, this is an obstacle in your faith. This is an obstacle in your nishta. But we have to take very seriously what Srila Gurudev has given us. I was talking with devotees on Wednesday evening, our Gita class, and one devotee had the question that how can we get proper guidance, say in proper association? And I was asking this devotee, oh, but you've heard Harinam from your Gurudev? Yes. Oh, you've heard Diksha mantras from your Gurudev? Yes. So you think you're not in association? This is our dilemma, that we've been given non-stop association in the form of Sri Harinam Prabhu, and yet we think we're not association. This is our misfortune, that we haven't realized that Srila Gurudev is present there when we sit down to do our japa, when we sit down to chant our Gayatri mantras. Then Srila Gurudev is there sitting across from us, and he is relishing with us. And he is the one who is guiding us to the depths of these moods that he so heavily focused on in terms of serving of Srimati Radhika, serving Sri Rup Manjari. Srila Gurudeva Memories would describe Prabhupada's books and his purports as having a depth like the bottom of the ocean, and with so many different jewels and gems scattered in there. But he would say that you can't reach those jewels, you can't reach that depth alone. He says, if you're not an experienced diver, then you cannot hope to do. But if you're inexperienced, then if an experienced diver takes your hand, sadhu, if he takes your hand, he can bring you to the deepest depths. And so this is what our Srila Gurudev did. He had complete focus that my Shiksha Guru, my Priya Bandhu, my Swamiji, he's given all these moods of Rupanuga. And he's told me that I should help. And so I'm coming. I'm coming to help. I remember reading one katha of Srila Gurudev explaining this word Swamiji is not actually a third class term. That when he's saying himself saying, when I say Swamiji, I'm thinking, oh, this personality that has controlled the minds, hearts, and senses of so many Western boys and girls. He's Swamiji. So our Srila Gurudev was able to elucidate so many different angles of vision for us to be able to relish a deeper relationship with our Srila Prabhupada, a deeper relationship with our Guru Varga. And he did this in such a way that when we look at the breadth of his Sangha, we see that he, maybe more than any other Acharya, established a society for everyone. Where can you go and you can sit in a room and 5, 6, 7 devotees sitting in the room, and each one has different spiritual master and all have the same love for Srila Gurudev. This is so unique. Even if you go into ISKCON centers where there's so many different gurus in the society currently, it won't be that same mood of reciprocity, of love for a single pointed personality. With Srila Prabhupada, naturally, the way he established himself, almost like a king, there's actually some distance sometimes of awe and reverence, almost like a Christ-like personality that's there. But Srila Gurudev said, no, I'm just your friend. I'm just your friend. And I've come to bring you to the lotus feet of my Gurudev, to bring you to the lotus feet of Rupa Goswami, to bring you to Srimati. This is what friends do. Our Param Gurudev makes this point, that the relationship that you develop with a Vaishnava has to be ultimately one of bosom friendship. And so this is how Srila Gurudev interacted with devotees, especially disciples of Srila Prabhupada. Even though Srila Gurudev was in basically every single category, in every category, senior to them. Senior by time of initiation, senior by age, senior by time of renunciation, and then, these are external, and then internally senior by mood and realization. Still, he would treat them as brothers. Oh, your guru is like my guru, so we're God brothers. Like this. Who could take this type of mood? There's video of Srila Gurudev coming off the Vyasasana and hugging Kirtananda. Who can take this type of mood? This is our Srila Gurudev, that he had such a magnanimous nature. He had no self-interest. He was only coming to give. And he put a very big spotlight on a part of our theology that prior to him had largely been hidden. And this is one of the special things that we have to look at. That not only could Srila Gurudev gather such a spectrum, such a variety of personalities just by his love, but then he could take them, regardless of what position they were at, regardless of the realization, he could take them to the deepest depths. We see this with when Sukadeva Goswami spoke Srimad Bhagavatam and the assembly was there, and so many different personalities were there, from the topmost Rasik Uttam Adhikaris to the most neophyte brand new personalities, and they all felt nourished. So what is this nourishment? This is the Hari Katha spoken by a pure devotee, that they're capable of piercing all the external layerings, all the external coverings, and they are a direct communication to that jiva, and the jiva is nourished according to wherever they're at. This is why our Srila Gurudev said when they were questioning, oh, should this book go out, that book? No, all for all. Why all for all? Do we think that we're the controller? Do we think that we distribute according to our whims? This book is not a living thing. this book doesn't have power. Srila Gurudev hasn't put all his moods in these books, that these books will go where they're supposed to go. This is how we can approach. I have here. So can I not see, oh, Srila Gurudev, you're present in this book. These are your lectures. So please speak to me directly from here. You have the power to do so. This is the relationship we have to develop. This is why Gurudev said all for all, that these books can go out and his moods can be everywhere. And yet we're here, we're doing this Zoom, and we have so many devotees gathered together, and it's very sweet. But are we realizing now what Srila Gurudev has given? Maybe 10 years from now, 50 years from now, 100 years from now, it'll start to be really understood. How close our entire Sampradaya's mood of Unat Ojvala Rasa Swabhakti Shriyam was to being covered. That Srila Gurudev had to make an emphasis. And I was listening to his Harikatha on Badger, and he was saying, oh, they're saying that Narayan Maharaj, he's Sahajya. But I've been doing 50, 60 years not falling down, but left and right, they're falling down, and they're saying, I'm Sahajya. He's saying like this. So actually, the recipe for all these anarthas that plague us, like lust, anger, greed, pride, envy, illusion, how can these be uprooted from our hearts? They have to be replaced by hearing the Harikatha from realized sadhus. Without the association of Braj Rasik Vaishnavas, like our Srila Gurudev, it's not possible. We can't remove, it has to be replaced with these moods. And I'm thinking of this bhajan, Jadi Gauranga Nahito. How the very last line, it's saying, Narahari hiya pashana diya kemone godiyache. Narahari, Sarkar is expressing, how has Narahari been created with a stone in place of a heart? So Srila Gurudev is going here and there, and he's trying to give us some nectar. But what type of receptacle are we? What type of receptacle have I become? This is why Srila Gurudeva Memories would say simplicity is Vaishnavism. That the more duplicitous, the more complex I approach things, the less ability I have to imbibe the mood of our Gurudev. And so I'm just thinking about all these things. And I think this Zoom, normally I don't speak any of my own stories, because my understanding is really should just try to express understanding of Srila Gurudev. But I'll tell a little bit about my meeting with Srila Gurudev for Harinam. It's very special to me. So, and I'll end with that. That it was 2005 in Houston, and we went. I was with Sripad Bhagavad Maharaj, with Indupati Prabhu, Dhananjaya Prabhu, a variety of devotees. We went to Houston. And I was torn about taking Harinam because I was young. I was 15, and I was thinking I didn't want to cut my hair. I didn't want to shave up. And Sripad Bhagavad Maharaj, he was saying, Gurudev may accept you in any condition, but Sripad Madhava Maharaj won't let you get initiation unless you shave up. He's saying like that. So our Sripad Madhava Maharaj was always like the gatekeeper, like that. So then I decided in the middle of the night before, okay, I'll do it. So I shaved up, I was prepared. And Gurudev, he had seen me the day before with I had like longer hair, like crazy. And then he saw me the next day shaved up, and he was so affectionate. He took his hand and he was rubbing on my shaven head. And he really liked, it's such a nice feeling to feel like freshly shaved head. And so he was rubbing my head. And then he looked at me and he said, now you're my disciple. Like that. Now you're my disciple. And it's interesting, Didi had mentioned Prem Prabhu. The first personality that I had felt so captured by was him. At that time, 2005, it was Aranya Maharaj. And I remember saying to Sripad Bhagavad Maharaj, wow, he's such a nice personality. Does he initiate? Is he a guru? I was so intrigued. I'd never seen like a young Westerner with like such fired up energy. And Sripad Bhagavad Maharaj, he said, this is one of the specialities of Srila Narayan Maharaj, is that in the presence of a Mahabhagavat of his caliber, regardless of the realizations or advancement of other personalities, they all defer to him. It's Vaishnava Sarvabhaum, like that. But Srila Gurudev, he knows the heart. So when he gave me Harinam and he's rubbing my head, then he pointed across the room and he pointed at Aranya Maharaj, Prem Prodran Booth, and he said, "You should listen to him. He's very intelligent." And then he looked at Sripad Bhagavad Maharaj, he looked back at me, he said, "Also your father." And I remember asking Sripad Bhagavad Maharaj afterwards, I said, "Oh, did you tell him that I like Aranya Maharaj?" And he said, "No, this is one of the signs of Guru. That you don't have to express or share. He already knows your heart." So this was one of the sweetnesses of our Srila Gurudev that I got to experience firsthand. I don't have a lot of personal pastimes, but I'm feeling blessed that I at least have this one that I can reflect on and remember how he knows exactly what's going on at all times. Nothing gets by him. He is the most mischievous trickster. Just like Sri Krishna is so mischievous, our Srila Gurudev also very mischievous. We can't get anything past him. And he's dived into our heart and then he refuses to leave. And so I'm praying that I can find him in my bhajan and see that he's not actually gone. Thank you,
Nrsinga. I really relate to your last story because when I took Diksha from Srila Gurudev in Vrindavan in '96, I didn't want to shave my head either. And I tried to negotiate with Srila Gurudev. I said, "I'm going on a business trip to Japan. I can't shave up." And he looked at me like, "Okay, we got a comedian in front of me." And he wasn't having any of it. I think I tried 3 times to negotiate my way out of it. And eventually I said, "Okay, I'll take Diksha if you give me your hat." So he gave me his hat and I wore the hat all the way around Japan. There's a beautiful Pushpanjali. And yeah, I know that sort of view that the best way to glorify Srila Gurudev is to glorify his teachings. But I also think, I think that's right, but I think that it's impossible to separate with Srila Gurudev his teachings from his mood. So if you're sharing, this is my own personal view, if you're sharing a story about Srila Gurudev, of a pastime you had with Srila Gurudev, if one is doing it to glorify oneself, then clearly that's not correct. But if one is sharing about your pastime with Srila Gurudev in order to convey the mood of Srila Gurudev, then that mood is intrinsically bound with all of his teachings. You can't really separate the two. So I think when you can combine the two as you just did, it's very beautiful and connects us both with the tattva and the ras of Srila Gurudev. I loved what you said. The 3 things I took away from what you said was, number 1 is we've got permanent association with Srila Gurudev through Harinam. I think that's a really great reminder and a great booster to our desire and our inspiration to do Harinam, which is the foundation for everything. And the second thing I really loved was, and I took it away as something slightly different from what you actually said, but it's implied, is how you can have so many different people, and I'm experiencing this in London as well. You have all these different people with different gurus, but we all have such love for Srila Gurudev. But also, what's amazing is we also have such love and respect for each other's gurus. So there's no dichotomy between, oh, he has Bon Maharaj as a guru, he has Madhav Maharaj as a guru, I have Srila Gurudev as a guru. We can all relish each other's guru nishta through each other's guru nishta, irrespective, because the Guru Tattva is one. And there's that love and respect, which was exemplified by Srila Gurudev. So that really is very, very beautiful about our Sangha. And the last point about how Gurudev really went to the deep, he not just gave us, he's giving us all the time the deepest insights into Manjari Bhav. And I think this is getting deeper and deeper. And I think he actually said, and it's definitely happening, is he said, my books will be read more when I've gone. And his books are getting read more deeply, more intensely, and more broadly. And I can see slowly how the walls between ISKCON and Gurudev Sangha, they're breaking down very naturally and in a bottom-up way, not in a top-down way, in a bottom-up way, because people are sharing these teachings and are not interested in discord and tactic arguments. We just want to be part of this, connected with one heart. So I think you conveyed that really beautifully, and I hope very much that over the years to come, I get more of your association, Prabhu. Haribol, Dandavat Pranams. I shall now hand over to my very dear co-host, Srimati Yoshidara Didi. Haribol.
Firstly, I just want to say to the first two speakers that you spoke so beautifully and eloquently about Srila Gurudev and the different facets that Srila Gurudev has and imbibes, and Nrsinga Prabhu, what you spoke about in terms of Gurudev. I mean, it's so beautiful, and you know, every guru has their own speciality in providing the entrance to Mahaprabhu's pastimes. So, you know, our Guru Padma has done it so beautifully, and Srila Prabhupada did it in such a beautiful way, etc., etc. So I'm just really fortunate, and this depth of going deeper within our bhajan is so important, and I'm realizing that as time's going on, that my bhajan needs to go deep for me to be able to do real service to Srila Gurudev and be able to serve him how I'm meant to. So thank you. I just want to say thank you to that. So now we're moving back into sunny London, and it is actually sunny today. So we're moving back into sunny London, and I would like to introduce our next speaker, Shyam Prabhu, who met the devotees in 1992. And when Gurudev first came to England, or when Gurudev came to England in 1996 in Radlett, he met the devotees and Srila Gurudev, and in the same year in Kartik in 1996, he also took Harinam from Srila Gurudev and went to Parikram every year up until 2012. And also he's a very wonderful scholar. He knows a lot of Shastra, he knows loads of different languages, and he's a wonderful god brother to be around. And his Sanskrit is like Paka, his Bengali is Paka, his Hindi is definitely Paka, and he's definitely taught a lot of us around the world some wonderful teaching. So with great pleasure, I would like to introduce our next speaker, Shyam Prabhu. Radhe Radhe, Dandavat Pranams.
Hare Krishna, you make me shy with my praises, my prashangsa. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militang Jena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Guruve Gaura Chandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tad Bhaktaya Namo Namaha. Mukang Karoti Vachalang Pangung Langhayate Giring Yat Kripang Tamahang Vande Shri Gurung Dinatarine Paramananda Madhavam. Narayanang Namaskritya Narang Chaiva Narottamang Deving Saraswating Vyasang Tato Jayamudirayat. So first of all, I offer my humble respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of my beloved Srila Gurudev, Nitya Lila Parishtam Vishnupada Shtotara Sata Shri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj, unto his beloved god brothers, Nitya Lila Parishta Bhaktivedanta Trivikram Goswami Maharaj, Nitya Lila Parishta Bhaktivedanta Vaman Goswami Maharaj, to Jagat Guru Srila Bhakti Vedanta Swami, our Srila Prabhupada, to their sannyas Guru, Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj, and to all the Guru Parampara, headed by Rupa Goswami and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, going back through Madhvacharya, to Vyas, Narad, Brahma, and Krishna himself, and to the feet of all the Vaisnavas present, all my god brothers and god sisters, sannyasis, Prabhus, and Didis. Hare Krishna. Please bless me that I can speak something nice about Srila Gurudev. So I'm not going to speak very deep Tattva and Siddhanta. I'm just going to tell you my story and stories of Srila Gurudev. And if any philosophy comes through that, then okay. So as Didi said, I met the devotees in 1992. I was 21 years old. I was hanging out outside McDonald's, as youngsters do. And one of them said, "Hey, you're clever. Go talk to that weird dude over there. There's a guy dressed in orange with a bald head." So there's one brahmachari. His name is Adi Guru, which is quite appropriate because he was my Adi Guru, my original guru. So I went and spoke to him, and he said, "Oh, this book is in Sanskrit." And he showed me Bhagavatam, first canto. He said, "This is Sanskrit language." I said, "Oh, that's interesting," because I'd gone to a grammar school and my Latin teacher had shown me a book of Sanskrit and it looked very hard, but very interesting. So I said, "Oh yeah." So I told him that, and he said, "Oh, you're a scholar." He butted me up. He was quite clever, you know, book distributor. He flattered me, and I was like, "Oh yes, now someone realizes who I am." So you know, I said, "Okay, I want the book, but I don't have a job right now." You know, I was going from like one rubbish job to another and signing on in between, and so I just pulled out all the money I had in my pocket, a handful of change, about £1. Said, "You know, that's all I've got." He said, "That's okay. Someone else gave a big donation. They can pay for you." So I took this book home, Prabhupada's Bhagavatam, read the introduction, and they say that these books are like time bombs. So this one, you know, sometimes someone's planting a bomb and it blows up while they're still, you know, trying to place it. So this one went off straight away. I read the introduction, and at the end I thought, what am I doing? I'm eating meat. I'm killing poor animals, causing them to suffer. From today, I'm not going to do that. Why am I going to the pub and drinking and smoking and wasting my time chasing girls and going to parties and taking drugs? This is all very bad. I'm destroying my health and my time, and not clean, staying out all weekend. So from now, I'm not going to do that anymore. And I basically took a vow of all the 4 regs that day, which was quite remarkable. And also the other thing was I did a meditation. I sat after reading. I sat, you know, I'd read some books about yoga and about Tibetan Buddhism, and I'd been reading the Bible actually for a month. And there were prayers saying, "Oh, my dear Lord, please show me what you would have me do as I read your book, and please give me the desire to live according to your teachings." And after 1 month of this every day, reading most of the New Testament, by the mercy of Lord Jesus, this brahmachari gave me Prabhupada's book. And it had a very profound effect. So I did this meditation. I sat in, you know, good half lotus position and did the breathing, and then started chanting Om. And I got into a very deep trance, and I can only describe it as realizing Brahman. I was basically, I didn't exist anymore. My body didn't exist. My mind didn't exist. I was a complete lack of any kind of suffering, which is a first. And I was just like immersed in this beautiful saffron golden colored light. You know, not only I was in it, I was it. You know, I was just basically merged into Brahman. And it was a very profound experience. I'd never had a spiritual experience before, because I'd been raised an atheist. When I was 5, I went to Church of England school, and we would sing All Things Bright and Beautiful. And I came home and said, "Mum, who's Jesus?" And she said, "He's just an ordinary bloke. It's all rubbish for people with weak minds. You're not allowed to believe in it." So I was like, okay. So it wasn't until I was about 18 when I started to think for myself, and I started to read spiritual books and started to sort of seek, you know. So yeah, I had a very profound experience. I realized that I'm not this body, I'm not this mind. I exist eternally. And I don't have to eat or drink or even breathe in order to exist. I exist, you know. So that was quite deep. Then my mum came home, and I was sat there. I drooled, which apparently is one of the symptoms of being in some sort of transcendental state. And she said, "Do you want some lunch?" And I just sort of, I was still half in the world and half not. And I looked up and just said, "Why?" So anyway, there was a Hare Krishna guy in our hometown called Mick, Hare Krishna Mick, everyone called him. And so I went to his house, and with a sandwich I'd made, vegetarian sandwich, for him to show me how to offer food. So he made it very simple for me. he had a little altar with Prabhupada and Mahaprabhu and Krishna, and he said, this is what you should have. You know, you should have Gauranitai or Panchatattva, Prabhupada and Krishna, Radha Krishna. And he put the thing on the altar and he did his obeisances and he said, my dear Lord Krishna, please accept this humble offering, and then chant Hare Krishna mantra 3 times. So that was easy. If he'd have started telling me, you know, Namo Mahabodhanyaya and all this, I'd have been like, oh, forget it. But, you know, he made it nice and easy. Just chant Hare Krishna and say, Krishna, accept this offering. So then he said, do you want to go to the temple? So I said, yeah, sure. So a few days later, he takes me to the manor, which was about 20 miles away from my hometown of Aylesbury. And it was Kartik, by some good fortune. And they said, oh, it's very auspicious you came in this time of year, and they're singing a special prayer, which I now know, Damodar Ashtakam. And they introduced me to all the deities. I don't know if you know the manor, but next to the altars here and on the left, there's a picture of, it's a copy painted of Srimati Shyamrani's Nrsinga picture, where he's tearing Hiranyakashipu and Prabhupada saying, more blood, more blood. So that was pretty gory. And I looked at that and I was like, what the hell's that? You know? And he was like, oh, don't worry about that. Look, just come here. That's Krishna, that's Radha, that's Sita, that's Ram. This is Lakshman, his brother. This is Hanuman, their servant. And they introduced me to all the deities. And, you know, I'm pretty bewildered. I'm 21. I haven't got a clue. Don't know what's going on. But they said, do you want to stay the night? And I was a bit like, oh, I really want to, you know, I'm joining a cult. But my friend Mick, he said, his name is Madai now. He lives in Wales, and he's, yeah, my Pradarshak Guru, my first. Anyhow, he said, oh, don't worry, you'll be okay. He said, stay the night, and then tomorrow you can hitchhike home. Because I was quite sort of used to hitching everywhere in those days. So I said, okay. And I stayed the night, and I was quite excited. I woke up at like 3 in the morning. And so I got up and I'm reading the Bhagavatam. They had a full Bhagavatam in the ashram. At that time was like a terrapin hut, because the ashram had burnt down. The stable block where the kitchen is had burnt down. So they had like this terrapin hut with a gas fire and a Bhagavatam and a bunch of beds. So, and the window open because of the gas fire. So, and that was where I lived afterwards as well, because you had to run across, it was quite austere, you had to run across the courtyard in the morning in a gamcha to go and get a shower in the actual main building. So, yeah, so I went to the Mongol Arti and I was just completely charmed. It was so beautiful, you know, the altars like all made of gold, and the beautiful deities in their night clothes, and the gents on one side and the ladies on another in dhotis and saris, and just sort of dancing very gently and singing very softly because it's early in the morning, samsara prayers and so forth. And yeah, it really kind of took my heart, you know. So then japa time came. So Adi Guru came and he gave me a string of beads and he said, chant Hare Krishna and go around that tree. He said, and when you're tired, sit down. And when you're tired of sitting down, then go round and round again. So I was like, okay. So I did that. I chanted like 8 rounds or something. And from that day on, I chanted at least 4 rounds every day. And, you know, that was my start. And then like 6 months later, I went to the Gaurapranim festival. I went, you know, I went a few times, went for the night or went for the weekend or whatever. And I went for Gaurapranim and I stayed for a week. And the last day was Gaurapranim festival. And it was fabulous. I was in complete bliss. And the feast was incredible. They had it in this big Jain temple because there was so many, it's like 1,000 devotees. There wasn't room in the manor. So they went to this place. And then I went home. And the first thing my mum said when I got in the door, she was tired. She said, oh, feed the dog. So I'm like spooning this disgusting, stinking brown gack into a bowl after like a week of incense and flower garlands and essential oils, you know. It was just like completely disgusting. So I thought, okay, you know, and I went upstairs and I packed a bag and I said, Mum, I'm sorry, I can't do this anymore. And I went back to the temple. There was a gyro on the doorstep, like waiting for me. So I took the gyro and I went to the temple and I said, this is all the money I have, take it, and me as well. So they had a little meeting and they said, okay, you can join. And so I did the Bhakti program 3 months, quite austere, you know, Mongol Arati every day, doing like cleaning the temple, cleaning the toilets, cleaning the kitchen, washing pots, chopping veg. Some people worked with the cows. I never did. Some people did books. I wasn't very good at that, so I didn't really do much of that. But basically all around training, and we learned a shloka every week. It was 3 months. So we learned 12 Gita shlokas. And at the end of that, they gave me a job. They made me the receptionist because I like to talk. So they put me on the front desk to greet from 9 till 1 to greet the guests. And sometimes if it was quiet, I would show them around, take them up to Prabhupada's rooms. He has 3 rooms in the manor, the office, the bathroom and the bedroom. They're a very nice, peaceful, spiritual atmosphere there. Prabhupada's very present there. Yeah, and then serving the Maha. And my colleague, his name was Sadhu Sangha, but later it changed to Sridham Saka, because he was initiated by Bhagavan Prabhu, and he'd left his sannyas, and so his initiation, he took initiation again. And he said to me, would you like to meet my Gurudev when he comes? He's a pure devotee. So I said, sure, of course. I always want to meet a pure devotee. I'd met Gurudeva Memories the year before in 95, and I'd met him in France in 94. I spent 6 months living in France, in New Mayapur and Paris temples. So he came to speak there, and he was always saying, you must take Krishna Prem from a Premi Bhakta. That will come later as well. Only Premi Bhakta can give you Prem. Only a millionaire can give you £1 million. I can't give £1 million if I've only got £1,000. So I can give £1,000. So, someone who hasn't got Krishna Prem can't give Krishna Prem. They can only help you up to their level that they've reached. So I said, sure, of course, I always want to meet a pure devotee. And he said, okay, I'll tell you when. And then in May 96, Prabhupada's centennial year, Srila Gurudev came to England, to Sridham's flat in Radlett. So he invited me and I came. Now, this was a 3-bedroom flat above a shop. It wasn't very big. There were at least 50 devotees in there. This place was never, ever built in mind to have this many people. There were 2 devotees sat on every step. Every room was packed. The hall was packed. One room was Gurudev's. Other than that, every room was just full of devotees. You had to sort of squeeze to go anywhere. It was incredible. And somehow they cooked for everyone as well. And Srila Gurudev gave class morning and night. So I had this saffron sweatshirt with Atato Brahma Jigyasa, Bhaktivedanta Institute, and Srila Prabhupada's face. He was sitting sideways like this, So, Bhaktivedanta Institute, the science department, which I, acquired in the manor. And so Gurudev picked on me straight away. He saw this and he said, oh, you, Atato Brahma Jigyasa. And that was my name for the week. He would, if he was sort of asking, like, anyone, can you tell? At Brahma Jigyasa, can you tell? And the answer was no, because I didn't know very much back then. What is Atato Brahma Jigyasa? So I just said the translation that Prabhupada had given us, which was, now is the time to inquire into the absolute truth. Brahma Jigyas means inquiries into Brahma, into spiritual, now is the time, human form, make spiritual inquiries. It's the first line of the Vedanta Sutra. It's the first 3 words, after which comes Janmadi Asya Yataha, from whom all the creation, maintenance and destruction, which is also the first words of the Srimad Bhagavatam, the Vyasadev's commentary on his own Vedanta Sutra. So Gurudev didn't touch my explanation, didn't say right or wrong. He just said, I want that you should come to me and I will tell you what is Atato Brahma Jigyasa. So I felt very blessed and humbled, to be mildly chastised by a great soul. So I said, yes, Maharaj. I hadn't yet accepted him as my guru. I just thought I'm going to see a nice sadhu. So, very nice. Oh, and that evening, I was reading one of Gurudev's books. Prem Vilas Prabhu made very nice old editions. I have of books like Going Beyond Vaikuntha and Nectar of Govinda Lila, and I spent the summer in my job reading those. Where was I? Brahma Jigyasa. Oh yes. So the one book was Hari Katamrita, and it was talking about Govardhan. Govardhan is Haridasa Varya, the best of the servants of Hari. And he is serving Krishna so nicely because he's giving nice grass for the cows to eat so they can give lots of milk for the Brajvasis, and also so they can make their living, and also the minerals so that they can make nice colors and makeup and gopi dots and color their clothes, and also and trees with nice fruits and flowers, and also caves for Radha and Krishna and the gopis to meet in privately, away from the gaze of all the world. And I'd never read anything or heard anything like this before. This was kind of out there. And this brahmachari who'd come with Gurudev, Pundarik Prabhu, he said, oh, what are you reading? And I showed him, and he said, yes. He said, this is Brahma Jigyasa. And I was very impressed because, firstly, Gurudev's conception of Brahma Jigyasa, spiritual inquiry, was so much higher than mine. You know, Vedanta Sutra is quite dry. It's about Brahman. Brahman is not this, it's not that, it's not expressible, it's not perceptible, it's not neti, not this, not that. And, you know, philosophical and dry, and related to Shankaracharya and his commentary. And here's Gurudev's conception of Brahma Jigyasa is Radha and Krishna and the gopis are doing Ras Lila in Govardhan. You know, it was quite a leap between my understanding and his. So I was very impressed with that, and also with the fact that he fulfilled his promise effortlessly through his anga, like his finger, his brahmachari. You know, one of the limbs of his body showed me, this is Brahma Jigyasa, this is what you're looking, this is the spiritual inquiry that you're making. And yeah, so I was very impressed with that, and I stayed the week, and then they went off to Glastonbury. I wasn't able to go because I had a job, and then they went to America, to Badger, and so forth. And that was the beginning of Gurudev's traveling the world from 96 to 2010. So I, you know, as if by coincidence, got the inspiration. Oh, you know, I've been a devotee for 4 years now. I want to go to Vrindavan. I'm going to go to the Holy Dham. So, you know, I had this job and I was saving, and Kartik came and I bought a ticket. 2 weeks before, the Barclays wrote to me and said, would you like a Barclay card for £2,000 on? And I was like, yes, please, because that turned my stay in Mathura from 1 month into 6 months. Thanks Barclays. So I went to, you know, took a flight to Delhi, and like that was an eye opener. 1 million people hassling you, and just like animals everywhere, camels and donkeys and oxen pulling things down the main road, and there was an elephant lumbering down there all covered in chalk decoration, and people's shops were like a piece of tarpaulin and they just sat under it, and there were families living on the pavement. You know, the smoke and the dust in those days. And yeah, it was quite an eye-opener. I was like, you know, I took the train to Mathura and I went to Krishna Janmabhoomi, where they fed me until I nearly burst. You know, at the end, I was my hands out, no more, for 25 rupees. And they gave me a nice, you know, a room with a bed, simple place for 50 rupees. So at that time, a pound was 60 rupees. So it was like less than 50p to eat and less than a pound to stay the night. So that was nice. And then the next day I got on got an auto and went to Vrindavan. I went to Krishna Balaram temple, and I had the money in my pocket and I was ready to go and sign up and do their parikram. So I'm crossing the courtyard of Krishna Balaram, and who do I see but he was then called Parantapa. I actually knew him before when he was back to Phil. This is our Prem Prayojan Prabhu. And I remember seeing him, and he was very bright and effulgent, and I thought, that's a real brahmachari. You know, he only ever spoke about Krishna, and very enthusiastic, so pretty much the same as he is now. So he was there, and he was selling Gaur Govinda Maharaj's books in the courtyard of Krishna Balaram. And so I stopped and said hello, and he said, if you want Krishna Prem, you can only get it from Premi Bhakta. And I said, yes, I heard that from your Guru Maharaj, Gaur Govinda Swami, and I believe it, I accept it. I said, but also, he said, a sadhu never speaks theoretically. So if you're going to tell me I have to go to a Premi Bhakta, you also have to tell me who is a Premi Bhakta, otherwise it's useless, you know? So who is a Premi Bhakta? And he said, all right. He said, very good. He said, don't tell anyone, we're going to Mathura. And he packed up his books, and we went to Mathura, and we went to Keshavji Gaudiya Math. And I was like, oh, this Maharaj again. You know, I hadn't gone there to see Gurudev. I just decided after meeting Gurudev I should go to Vrindavan, and then mysteriously I'm going to ISKCON, and then Prem Prayojan takes me to Gurudev, and then I'm there and everything's a bit different. You know, the songs are different. They're singing a different Tulsi prayer, and they're singing different stuff of Mangalarti. They're singing a Radha Krishna prayer at Gaurarti, and you know, everything's different. And I'm just like, oh, I might go back, you know. So they're all trying to persuade me. They're all saying, oh no, you get really good sadhu sangha here. You know, we have so many good brahmacharis. Yeah, okay, but there's good sadhu sangha in ISKCON too. Oh, you'll get you know, better Harikatha here. You know, these speakers. Oh yeah, you know, Lokanath Maharaj gives nice Harikatha, and I've done it. I wasn't convinced, you know. So then the final kicker was, oh, our parikram is $100, their parikram is £100. So like, you know, that our parikram is £66, theirs is 100. I was like, okay, well, you know, that actually makes sense because, you know, I'm here on a budget. So that was what persuaded me. You know, that's ridiculous. But this is how I decided to stay in Gurudev's mat and do program with him. It was cheaper. So, yeah. So, what came next? That's right. At that time, there was only like 80 or 100 Westerners, and we didn't have a temple in Govardhan. You know, a big temple, Giridhari Gaudiya, didn't exist. It hadn't even been begun. So I think they were still building Rup Sanatan at that time in Vrindavan. So we didn't have anywhere to stay there apart from Modi Bhavan, which was a big hall, and it was just like one big room, and there were all saris hanging to divide. Mataji's were sleeping that side, and Prabhu's were sleeping that side, and there's a load of saris was the dividing line, you know. And basically you had like your 7 feet by 4 feet with your bedding and your backpack, and that was you. And then there's another one and another one and another one, and the whole room was just full of people sleeping like that. I was going a bit crazy, but fortunately my friend Madam Mohan Prabhu is one of the original devotees. There was Sri Dharma and Indulekha, there was Madam Mohan and Vishaka, there was Achyuta Prabhu, there was Prem Vilas and Yashoda Gopi, and Chitra Didi, and they were the original disciples of Gurudev that went there in the early 90s before Gurudev ever left the West. So Madam Mohan Prabhu was one of those, and he was talking to me and, you know, keeping me sane, and he also gave me the good tip of sleep under your, he said, your dirty dhoti, yesterday's dhoti, make that your blanket, and then you can kind of cover yourself so you don't get the mosquitoes, and you're not inside your sleeping bag so you're not too hot. And so, you know, you just sort of practical help, you know. Now in those days, because there's only a few of us, so Gurudev would wander around, you know, he'd walk around and say, Haribol, how are you? You know, is everything okay? Oh, your health is not so good today, then you take rest, don't go out today. And this was very nice, it was very intimate, very personal. So one morning I'm sitting reading one of Prabhupada's books, Perfect Questions, Perfect Answers, and I look up and there's these little skinny legs and, you know, saffron dhoti, and it's Gurudev. So I did my pranam and I stand up, and he said, what you're reading? And I read it to him. And at this particular point, Prabhupada was being really heavy. He was saying that the modern civilization is nothing but a sophisticated arrangement for eating, sleeping, mating, defending. Therefore, it's no better than hogs, dogs, asses, and camels. You know, hogs are eating anything, and the camels are drinking their own blood, and the donkeys are working for nothing. And you know, just hogs and dogs civilization, cats and dogs. And so I read this, and Gurudev said, oh, Swamiji is preaching so strongly. And then he whacked me on the shoulder, he clapped me on the shoulder, like, wow, he nearly knocked me off my feet. I couldn't believe how strong he was. And he said, don't be animal. And I felt really blessed because, one, I'd got the touch of a Vaishnava, pure Vaishnava. I knew that was a very good thing. And two, coming from ISKCON, I always had this fear of falling into samsara and 8 million lives before you come to a human birth again. And, you know, I was kind of afraid of that. So I felt that not only he knocked 1 million years worth of sins out of me, you know, but also he had blessed me. Don't be an animal, you know, he taken away a fear that I had. So that was very nice. And then, like, after Diwali, I went to Madhav Maharaj and asked for a darshan. How long have I got, by the way? how long left?
You've got about 10.
Okay. So after Diwali, I asked Madhav Maharaj for a darshan, and I went to see Gurudev, and I brought some beads, and I had 3 stupid questions, and Gurudev just ignored my stupid questions. He already gave me the answer to them. He said, "Why not taking Harinam?" And I was like, "Bah, bah, 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 bah." He said, if you want to chant purely Krishna's holy name, I'll give. Tomorrow I'll give, otherwise not." And then he turned his back on me, you know. Just like gave me the shoulder, you know. And then I was just like, mouth open, like, what am I going to do? And Madhav Maharaj was behind him going, "Say yes, say yes." So I said, okay. So like 2 days later I came, and it was just me and him in this room. There was one other Indian fellow there who was asking him some stuff in Hindi. But basically I got initiated by myself. Most people got in groups. And Gurudev explained, you know, this is Radha and Krishna is the head bead, and this is the 8 Astasakis, and you're, you know, he gave me some instructions about chanting, and he chanted on the first 8 beads and then gave them to me. Oh, before that, sorry, I walked in the room, and he said, "So you will be mine forever?" And I was like, could not speak, you know. Madhav Raj was behind him again, say yes, okay, yes. He said, "Still fearing?" I said, "Yes, Gurudev." He said, "Don't fear, be bold. I want that you be so pure and strong." So I took, you know, I always remember that instruction. Yeah, he gave me the Harinam. But then I got sick. I drank water from the wrong tap in Mathura, and I got really sick. I had dysentery for about 3 months. I lost 1/3 of my body weight. I went from 12 stone to 8 stone. I like went from being, you know, fat boy to skin and bone. So my chanting, I wasn't able to. I was going to the toilet 16 times a day, but I wasn't able to do 16 rounds every day. And I was feeling very kind of morose. And one day along came this like really super disciple, this super qualified, big, strong Russian guy. He said, "I've been doing pranayama for 15 years. I've been chanting 16 rounds for 5 years. I want to take initiation." And Gurudev said, "Why from me?" He said, "There are so many more qualified, the Gopal Krishna," and named some ISKCON sannyasis. And this young man was just like, didn't know what to say. And Gurudev said, "I think that I'm not your guru at all." And he rejected him. And I was absolutely astonished, because any guru would have accepted this boy. He's very qualified. And Gurudev said no, because he couldn't give him a good reason why I want you as my guru, not such and such Maharaj. And I was like, I thought about this for years afterwards. Why did he do that in front of me? You know, so that I can see it. And I could only conclude that, one, he can see our swarup. He can see who we really are, not just who we are on the outside. You know, you're a mess and he's qualified. Also, that it was a bond of love. You know, I didn't select you for what use you are to me. I selected you out of love. And I was just like completely blown away. So as I said, or as you said, I went on parikrama every year then, sometimes to Navadvip, sometimes to Vrindavan. 1 or 2 years I missed, 1 or 2 years I went twice. So basically I went like 15 times between 96 and 2010. And as time went on, I'm trying to think of some more, and I went on a few tours as well, like I went to America and Singapore and Australia and so forth. So yeah, in America, I remember Gurudev was with a lot of Prabhupada disciples, and he said, "Don't think that I'm different from you." Someone mentioned this, and I was going to mention this already, and I don't, you know, they mentioned it in like, you shouldn't say that they're the same. But I was going to say this anyway, and I'm not going to not say it just because someone disagreed. So Gurudev said, "You should not see me as different to your Swami Maharaj, your Swamiji." He said, "He and I are like one. He is in my heart and I am in his heart as well." And a lot of the devotees have always said, "Oh, when Gurudev came, it was just like, you know, they've been 20 years through this whole zonal acharya thing, and Guru's falling down, and God knows what's going on in ISKCON." And they had lost faith, and they were just living their family life, you know. So they a lot of them said, well, when Gurudev came, it was like Prabhupada had come again, you know. So just trying to think of some more little anecdotes. One time there was a girl called Shyam from Ireland. She was Catholic upbringing, you know, as many people in Ireland are. Gurudev asked the question, what is the quality of a Vaishnav? And she put her hand up and she said, unselfish. And Gurudev said, no, Vaishnav is topmost selfish. We want Krishna. And another time, this was so heavy. One time he said to everybody, I think that you are the real renounced order of life. We are not sannyasi like you, because you can renounce everything, even Krishna, but we cannot. You can renounce even Krishna, but we cannot. That was really heavy. And so one of the things that I did was plays. Shamapriya, my son's mum, she would write and direct plays, and we would star in them, me, Charachandrika, and her, and Ramanath, and all. We had a little crew. We called ourselves the Avadudes. Have you heard of us? We blagged it into festivals for free and stuff like that with our Avadudes. A lorry full of us, you know. So yeah, we put on a play in Kent, because for the first 3 or 4 years, Gurudev came to England every year. And then after that, he said, right, I'm not coming to each different country anymore. I'm going to come to one place in Europe and you can all come to me. But for the first few years, he came to the Spec Centre in St Albans. He came to Wales. He came to Gopi Vallabha and Chitra's place in Kent. They had a nice house in the middle of countryside. So at that place, we did a play for Gurudev, The Sadhu and the Prostitute. So Shama Priya was the director. She was the prostitute. Charachandika was the sadhu who was criticizing her. You know the story? They're sitting opposite each other, and he's doing his bhajan, but he's always watching her and criticizing, oh, how wretched she is, how, you know, how sinful, look at all these different men coming. And the prostitute is crying and thinking, oh, that sadhu is so good, he's doing his bhajan, but I'm just, you know, giving myself to all these different men, taking them away from their wives. I'm so sinful and wretched. And because she was always praising him, she got his good karma. Because he was always criticizing her, he got her bad karma. There was an earthquake, they both die, and the Yamadutas and the Vishnudutas come. And the Yamadutas go to Charu in the dragon, which was me, by the way. I was the Yamaduta. So I come on the stage like, rah! And everybody laughs. I was like, shut up, you're next. That wasn't in the script. I was just in character. And I'm dragging Charu off. Come with me to be punished by Yamaraj. And she's like, no, you've got the wrong person. You want the prostitute. No, I want you because you've criticized, so you've got all her sin. And then the Vishnuduta comes all nice and blue and takes Shamapriya. You know, you've been always thinking good things about the sadhu, so you've got his good karma and you can go to Vaikuntha. Another play we did was, and Gurudev at the end, he said, oh, very good. He said, don't think this is just a play. He said, this is history. This really happened. Another play we did was Bilva Mangal Thakur in Badger. I was Bilva Mangal, and I had ketchup in my eyes, you know, like blood coming down. I poked out my eyes. Basically, Bilva Mangal Thakur, a great saint, he was very attached to a prostitute called Chintamani, and she gave him good instruction. And he woke him up. And then as he was going to Vrindavan, he saw a beautiful lady and he was attracted. And so he went to her and he said, can you give me your hairpin? And he took a pin and plucked out both his eyes with it. And yeah, quite extreme example. And then he's blind and chanting Hare Krishna and trying to find Vrindavan. So they had this beautiful little 7-year-old girl, did her up as Krishna really nicely. And she came, I've got my eyes closed full of ketchup. And she's taking me off the stage. Oh, Baba, I'm going to Vrindavan, you know, so she leads me off the stage. And yeah, so we did nice plays like that, which Gurudev liked. So my last story, now it's gotten later, it's like 2000, getting on for 2008, let's say. And now there's so many people. It's not like before there's 100 of us and we all knew each other, or when there's 1,000 of us and you knew 500 of them. Now there's like 2,000 people in Giriraj Gaudiya, and they're from all over the world. They're from South America, and they're from China, and they're from Russia, and you know, you don't hardly know anybody, and you can't get near Gurudev because there's a scrum everywhere. He goes 20 people deep, and if you go for darshan, it's like queue, you know, and you just couldn't, it wasn't, you know, I just felt this isn't like it used to be. I was feeling nostalgia for the old days. So I sat in the class thinking like this, and I thought to myself, I want to look into my Gurudev's beautiful blue eyes. And at the end of the class, Madhav Maharaj said, "Oh, Shyam, Gurudev wants to see you." So I, you know, wonder what that's about, trotted along to his room, and I walked in the room, and Gurudev had his glasses on, and they were really big, thick glasses. His eyes were like double size, you know, they really amplified his eyes. And he looked up and he opened his eyes wide, you know, and he said, "Shyam." And I was just like looking in his eyes, like super magnified. It was like, here's your wish. You had a wish. 10 minutes later, it's fulfilled in like so wonderful, funny way, you know. So then there was some inquest. Oh, how much money did you give to such and such, and this, that, and the other? Oh, I don't know. I can't remember anything. It wasn't me, you know. But I didn't care. I was just in bliss because my wish got fulfilled like that. And I think everyone has had the experience that they had a question for Gurudev. That Gurudev is omniscient. He said it. He said, "I know." He said, "Don't try and cheat Gurudev." He said, "Gurudev knows everything." He said, "If not, then how am I a Vaishnava?" You know, he had expressed his omniscience, and we'd all experienced it in some way. You go to him with a question, and he would answer it before you ask it, or you have a question, and you go and sit in class, and he answers it. And when he looked at you, he was like looking into every, you know, he could see everything. I even had the experience with Premananda Prabhuji, actually. When I first met him in 1996, I was quite a sort of baby-faced young boy, 25. And he grabbed me and he put me on his lap and he covered my head with a cloth. And he was rocking back and forth going, "Baby, baby," as if he was breastfeeding me. He had me on his lap. It was really strange. But the even more strange, everyone's laughing. The even more strange thing was that while he had me there, I could feel my life like a film reel really fast. It was like he was rewinding the whole film of my life. And we got to a certain point and then just pushed me off, you know. So he was also, you know, had this omniscient thing going on. So yeah, I'm sure everyone has the experience of Gurudev's omniscience. So yeah, I had the wish and Gurudev fulfilled it very, very beautifully and very wonderfully. And then the last time I saw Srila Gurudev was in 2010. He had traveled on the Navami, which is the Mrityu Titi, for the first time ever. He always would follow the calendar of auspicious days. And he said, "Oh, let's try it. Let's see what happens." And then that's when he manifested his sickness pastime in 2010. He went to see Mother Sita's birthplace in Nepal. And when he came back, he was diagnosed with, you know, late stage cancer of the bowels. So his manifest pastimes on earth were coming to an end. And he was so ill, he said, "I will leave on my godbrother's appearance day." And that day came. I think Trivikram Maharaj's day came. And he was so ill, we thought he was going to leave that day in the middle of Kartik, just around Diwali. And but he survived that. And at the end of the month, he came out in his wheelchair and he gave his usual speech, which I'll always remember. It was in Hindi, but I could understand it, because Gurudev spoke very nice, clear, clean Shuddha Hindi, very easy to understand, you know. Oh, I wanted to talk about Trivikram Maharaj as well. The two of them together were just a hoot, but that'll have to be another time. So, yeah, he said, basically, you should all come on this Brajmana Parikrama. I think your lives are a success because you've done this Brajmana Parikrama, giving up your comfortable home. You've come here and lived in austere conditions, and you've walked barefoot in all the holy places of Vrindavan and heard Hari Katha from the sadhus. So I think your life is a success, and you should come every year, and you should come to Navadvip as well, and I will be there as well. When we heard that, we thought that means he's going to still be here for Navadvip Parikram. Of course, he left before that in December of that year. His 89th birthday fell on my 39th birthday. So over 15 years of me following, our birthdays, I was born 11 days before and 50 years after. So I was born 11 days before Chinese New Year, which is his birthday. And so they actually synchronized that year. His last birthday on earth, we were exactly 50 years different. So yeah, who can say about when Gurudev left? We were all devastated. It was, you know, an ocean of lamentation. But we should know that Gurudev is always with us. He said, "I'm closer to you than the air you breathe." So acharjang mang vijanayan navamanyeta karhichit namartya buddhi asuyeta. Don't think Gurudev is martya, is mortal. He's not. He's always there. He's still with us. He's with us in his Vani, in his books, in his classes, in his teachings, and he's with us in our hearts. And he's waiting for us, and he's going to bring us. As long as we make some attempt to follow him and to obey him, he'll bring us. He'll bring us to Goloka and place it at the lotus feet of his Swamini. So we're very fortunate. We're very blessed. I don't know where I got such good fortune from to have the association of pure devotees like Srila Gurudev, but can only be put down to their causeless oceanic mercy. So thank you very much. I think that's about the half hour. And yeah, Vancha Kalpa Tiruvascha Kripa Sindhubhya Vichapatitnang Pavanibhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha.
Thank you so much, Shyam Prabhu. I absolutely was so there with you with that your whole journey with Srila Gurudev. It's just so beautiful, and I was just imagining that house in Radlett and what it was like moving in between devotees trying to get to Guru. Yeah, it must have been amazing. And you know, you said some beautiful things about how the first time, you know, that when you read the Srimad Bhagavatam and it was like your awakening, and it's so interesting how a lot of people that have read Srila Gurudev's or Srila Prabhupada's books, they're just so awakening to that soul that they're like, no, I don't want to see it. This is the truth. I know it's and there's some sort of realization of that. So yeah, it's just very, very beautiful, and I can totally relate to that. And I like the fact that Srila Gurudev also told you, let me tell you what the meaning is. Don't tell me, I'll tell you. And then you find out the deeper meaning of it, and it's like, whoa, you know, it's just crazy how Gurudev does things in such small ways that leads to such a big, a deep meaning, you know. And you know, everyone that listens to Srila Gurudev, and you're right, and I think this has been said throughout this whole time, is that Gurudev always brought us back to our goal of Radhadasyam, and he always gave us that at the end, and he always brought it back to the Madhuri of the Lilas, you know. And no matter where he started off, it would always lead to the pastimes of Radha Krishna. So it was really beautiful, and the fact that he said that, you know, I'm choosing you out of love, is just, you know,
that was my. He didn't say that out loud. I concluded that was why he showed me that, because I thought about it for a long time. But
you can tell that, you know, he's like that, you know. He's full of love, and you can feel that love when you're with him. And even now, I've just been pondering on so many things over the last couple of weeks, and it's just really weird how even now Srila Gurudev's answering some of my questions through all of your Harikatha. Really, really weird. But anyways, so I just want to say thank you so much for
I can see Chara Chandrika has commented. I just want to say to her as well, she's also my Vartma Pradarshak Guru, because after I was chanting, I went and going to the temple back in '92. When I heard the 10 offenses, I was a bit freaked out, and I was a bit worried. Oh, I'm going to commit these 10 offenses, so I'm going to stop chanting. And then I met Charu in my hometown doing books, and she said, she went through them one by one. She said, oh, well, you know, do you know who Vishnu and Brahma are? Not really. Shiva, and, you know, you don't really know who they are. You can't do that one. And you don't live with the devotees, so you can't offend the devotees. And, you know, you can't really commit any of these offenses. So don't worry about it. Just keep chanting. And it worked. I did. I kept on chanting. So thank you for that, Charity. You helped keep me on the path. Hare Krishna.
Very well. Thank you, Shyam Prabhu.
My pleasure.
I'll pass it back over to you, Shodananda Prabhu.
Hey, Shyam, thank you. It was great seeing you on Sankirtan yesterday. That was a really nice surprise. Please come every week. It's wonderful. I was really happy to see you.
I will. Yeah, it was lovely. It was really good, and it's nice to actually be with the devotees face to face. It's being in Harinam is ecstatic. Actually, there, you know.
It's amazing. And there was one thing I wanted to emphasize at the end. You said, oh, Gurudev is in is in the books, and then you gave a few things you said in your heart, but also it's in each other's heart. So the beautiful thing about being together with devotees, Sadhu Sangha, being on Zoom, is that I experienced Gurudev in your heart. I experienced Gurudev in Lila Madhuri's heart. I experienced Gurudev in Nrsinga's heart, and hopefully in a minute also in Rasika Mohan's. And even on the comments, as the comments come through, you're experiencing Gurudev all the time through each other's experiences. It's really beautiful. So just as a cheeky aside, I just wondered what you got, all this beautiful things around you, and then you got this gorgeous little sun thing. It's like a personality. I want to meet him. Yeah, he's really cute.
Yeah, he's Balaram's cushion from when he was like 3.
Balaram's okay. He's got a lot of joy in there.
I keep stuff like that. Actually, Rasika Mohan, I have his initiation photo. So he was about 10.
Wow.
In 96, him and his father came to Mathura as well, and yeah, I have the photo of their initiation.
Beautiful.
I'll try and copy it for him.
Thanks, Shyam. Are you on the London Sankirtan WhatsApp list?
I don't do WhatsApp. Sorry, I just don't.
Are you on Telegram? Are you on anything?
I could do Telegram if it doesn't hoover up all my personal info like WhatsApp does.
Okay. Well, I'll contact you anyhow. I'll make sure, because we change locations, so I want to make sure you know where we are. Okay.
Sure.
Thank
you. Hare Krishna.
I'll make a note. Hari Bol, Dandavat. So. From London to New York, we're now going over to Sriman Rasika Mohan Prabhu. I'm very excited to hear his beautiful offering. You all know who he is, but I still want to give a warm welcome. He was born into a devotee family. In fact, that family has been doing the Anukut festival for I think 25 years now over in New Braj. And in fact, he met Gurudev. I remember when he met Gurudev because I was there back in '96 in Gurudev's first barnstorming tour in Badger. It was an epic time, epic stories of Gurudev melting everybody's hearts in Badger. It was incredible. Rasik then took Harinam that year in Kartik of '96, and then in '97 took Diksha. And Gurudev actually told him at the age of 10 when he took Diksha to become brahmachari. So, and he's turning into a fine brahmachari. And he was living in Mathura and Vrindavan, serving under Prabhuji's direction since 2005. And then obviously when Gurudev disappeared under Prabhuji's direction, rendering a lot of service, translating Madhuri and Dambini amongst other periodicals. And he's one of the key personalities who's set up the retreat under Prabhuji's direction in New York. So we wish him huge success with that. That's a wonderful endeavor, giving hope and aspiration for many devotees, not just in America, but around the world, seeing that happening. So Rasika, warm welcome. Over to you, Prabhu. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat everybody. So nice to see you all. So nice to hear from Shyam Prabhu, fond memories with Shyam Prabhu and such beautiful stories. So wonderful hearing from all the devotees and connecting to Gurudev with all our spiritual family. So I'll speak for 30 minutes or so. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Vandeham Shri Guruvaram Shirupanuga Prabharam Brajarasarasikang cha Narayanam tang prapanam Shri Guru Charanang Vande Ramana Pristaya Bhutale Rupanugha Bhaktidam cha Kripa Murti Narayanam Guruve Gaura Chandraya Radhikaya Itadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tada Bhaktaya Namo Namah Tavevasmi Najivami Tvaya Vina Iti Vigyaya Radhe Tvam Nayamam Charanantike Devika kubara gadkara yadyavacha yache nipatya bhuvidandavadutpatarti asya prasadam avudasya janasya kritva gandharvike nijagane gananam videhi. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Offering my Dandavat Pranam to my beloved Guru Pada Padma Param Aradhyatam Shri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Shri Gurudev, and unto their entire Rupanuga Gaudiya Guru Varga, and to all assembled Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis here and around the world. So honored to participate in this glorification festival, continuing throughout the year, organized by our wonderful Sanghas in England, London, Ishwaranandan Prabhu, and everybody. So wonderful what you are all doing. Just a thought I've been having recently is that something I was thinking on Gaur Purnima. Why did Mahaprabhu not write more books? You know, what would be, he's Krishna, he's Radharani with the mood of Radharani, but yet Mahaprabhu gave us 8 verses, as if to say, I want you to focus very deeply on this thing. Don't get distracted, because there's so much information out there that there's a risk of making our focus on something that is not the most essential thing, especially in the age that we are in, where time is limited, intelligence is limited, and we're also busily occupied in various pursuits. So Mahaprabhu said, focus on this one thing. What is our spiritual journey towards the ultimate goal of life, which is that divine love and relationship with Sri Krishna, understanding also the significance of Srimati Radhika and aspiring to serve Krishna under her guidance. And that idea of that spiritual calling towards Sri Krishna being the most important thing. And that the basis of that all is we're all seeking for sweet relationship and love. And how can we experience that in the highest potential in the transcendental life? And so what I feel was also very significant with Srila Gurudev and our time with him is that he, again, when he came, he gave us that focus. Become one-pointed. Anya bilashta shunyam. Become void of all other desires. Even for development of knowledge, fruitive activity, in the name of religiosity, and all these things, just develop one-pointed devotion. And that is the true goal. And that devotion will lead to the awakening of ecstatic love. And Srila Gurudev exemplified that by his character, by his sweet dealings with the devotees. And that is what was so powerful about meeting such a personality as Srila Gurudev, is that his presence beamed out, radiated this sweetness of Braja Bhakti. And so when he would speak, it was imbued with that power of sweetness and transcendental love. And when he would sing and encourage us all to sing, Govinda Dhamo Dharamadaveti, Radhe Radhe Radhe, Jai Jai Shri Radhe, it would be so powerful. I remember in New Braj, after every evening Harikatha, Srila Gurudev would walk back from the pavilion to his quarters, which is about 200 yards away. And the entire time, it would be like, kind of like a parallel to Krishna coming back into the town of Braj, the village of Braj, and everyone is outside waiting to have a glimpse, to have a sweet, short interaction, to offer a flower, to have a smile. And Gurudev would very, very slowly, it could take up to like 20, 30 minutes. Gurudev would just very sweetly and slowly walk back to his quarters. And that's some of my earliest memories, actually, being with Gurudev, is especially with the children. Gurudev was very kind and especially affectionate. And so he would, walk with his hand on our shoulder the whole way. And we would all kind of queue up to like, who's going to get the chance to be with Gurudev walking back to his room today. And sometimes it would be one of, the men, or a lot of times it was like one of the boys, Prem Pradeep or myself, or some of the other school children there that we grew up in our Gurukul. Gurudev, when he came to New Braj, I first met him when I was 9, and immediately your life changes when you come in contact with such a transcendental soul. We're all devotees, we're all sadhakas, and yet there's a whole other level. The difference between Baddha and Mukta. Mahaprabhu told Sanatan Goswami a very important instruction. He said, Baddha ara Mukta Falgu or Yukta. Always understand the difference between a conditioned and a liberated soul and false and genuine renunciation. And so with personalities like Srila Gurudev, who is a liberated soul, and of liberated souls, in Sastra it says, of millions of liberated souls, you will find one Bhakta of Narayan. And of all those Bhaktas of Narayan, how many Krishna Bhaktas, Braj Bhaktas, how many Palyadasis of Srimati Radhika will you encounter in your sojourn in material existence? And so that moment when we meet a personality like Srila Gurudev completely transforms our existence in this world. It's described that we're all being swept along in the current of samsara. But that moment when we meet the transcendental personality who is a messenger of Krishna, it is like our soul, which is being swept along in this current, has come upon the bank, the shore of the transcendental land. And very soon now, our suffering condition in this samsara will end. And so I was very fortunate personally to grow up in a devotee community. We had many children there. When I was growing up, about over 100, 150 devotee kids, and so many families. We had not just in Badger, New Braj, but Pinehurst and Three Rivers and the little towns and hamlets around it. We would have festivals of Rath Yatra and Anukut in our place from the 80s, and hundreds of people would come. And we would have wonderful festivals. And, so from childhood, I owe a great deal of gratitude, to my parents, my mother, who was so encouraging. From the time I remember 4 or 5, you can't go and play. First, you have to chant 1 round. And so, okay, Hare Krishna, on the beads, making sure, you chant properly. And then you're going and playing. So, that basis of Varnashram Dharma and devotee communities is so important. But then meeting Srila Gurudev, it's like a light turns on and your entire existence becomes focused on the goal, the true goal of our lives, which is the development of Krishna Prem. And so Srila Gurudev came and he defined that so clearly, that it's not for this, it's not for that, it's not for this. Gurudev would give the story of Arjuna and the story of how his guru Dronacharya, his archery guru, all the Pandavas and Kauravas were assembled and they were doing a demonstration. Who can shoot the pupil in the eye of a bird on the top of a tree? And so Dronacharya would call forth each of them, Duryodhana. And first he would ask them, what do you see? And he would say, I see the tree, I see all you, I see the bird. And he would say, go to the next person. And one by one, everyone did not qualify to even perform the test. They had failed before even. Yudhishthir, Bhima, oh, I see the birds. Finally, when it was Arjuna's turn, Dronacharya asked him, what do you see? He said, all I see is the pupil, the center of the pupil of that wooden bird. And Dronacharya said, shoot. He shot. Immediately it went right to the center. So Gurudev then said, what is your goal? Is it Vanashram Dharma? Developing good situations in society and dealing well with everybody? No. Is it Vaikuntha Bhakti? No. Is it, would you like to become in Vatsalya Ras? That's very nice, but no. Sakya Ras, very nice. No. Madhuri Ras, oh, most excellent, but not exactly. It's not the center of the pupil of the bird yet. Do you want to be Radhika's Saki like Lalita Vishaka? Padabjayostava vina varadasya meva nanyat kadapi samaye kila devyache sakyayate mamo namostu nityam dasyayate mamo rasostu satyam. Oh Gurudev, what have we learned from you? I offer pranam again and again to the position of the Sakis of Srimati Radhika, like Lalita Vishaka, offering pranam to them. I merely aspire to become the maidservant of Srimati Radhika. Kinkari. Therefore, Srila Gurudev showed that every time he would give his invocation to speak, he would say, Tavevasmi, Tavevasmi, Najivami Tvayavina, Iti Vigyaya Radhe Tvam, Nayamam Sharanantike. Oh, Shri Radharani, again and again, I'm supplicating you, please, when will you accept me amongst your group and thus make my life successful? Without that, I will give up my life. It has no purpose. And so Srila Gurudev would speak like these verses before his Harikatha. And then with that focus, then he would expand and teach you everything else. Prahlad Maharaj Katha, Dhruva Katha, Ajamil, Chitraketu Maharaj, all Ram Katha. Gurudev, he went on 32 world tours. And so he spoke thousands of lectures. And we're in the process of transcribing and publishing all those. But again, why we go back to Mahaprabhu? Mahaprabhu said 8 verses. Understand this. Then you can understand Chaitanya Charitamrita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, the Upanishads, everything. But first understand this vital importance of the spiritual journey towards Sri Krishna and the service of Srimati Radhika and Krishna under her guidance. So Srila Gurudev, I just remember, I don't know, it's funny because I don't have a recollection of how it came about. But I remember how, within a year or two, when 96 Gurudev came to New Braj and the whole community, I would say 90% of the community was swept up in the sweetness of his transcendental Lila. And even before Gurudev came, there was this kind of conspiracy. Should we allow him to come or not? There happens to always be some kind of controversy around great Vaisnavas. And then we would have, town hall meetings. All the patriarchs and the matriarchs of the community would come together and discuss, should we allow him to come or not? And Gopavindrapal Prabhu, a great Prabhupada disciple, he said, he's only coming for 3 days. If he says something against, because the propaganda is, oh, he's against Prabhupada, oh, he's against ISKCON. Whereas, in fact, Srila Gurudev saved ISKCON. Srila Gurudev was the best friend of Srila Prabhupada. Srila Gurudev did countless, immeasurable service to Srila Prabhupada and to ISKCON from its inception, from before its inception. And yet, the nature of when something comes that is immaculately pure, like the sun rising, everything else, its brightness is naturally eclipsed. And so it becomes a challenge to those who have established position. Magnetic attraction towards Gurudev. Gurudev is the sun with the heaviest gravity because he is the transcendent Guru. And Guru means heavy or gravity. And so everyone begins to come towards Gurudev. So it's almost like the black holes have to try to create propaganda, controversy to suck people away from that. But it was really funny because the community decided that, okay, Srila Gurudev, Srila Narayan Goswami Maharaj, he can come for 3 days. Afterwards, everything will go back to normal. Don't worry. Everything will go back to normal. And if he says something, improper or against something, then we'll politely request him, not to do that or not to stay. And so it was decided, and Gurudev came, and just, contrary to the idea of, oh, everything will go back to normal, everything changed immediately. And everyone then, instead of staying for 3 days, we all followed him to San Francisco. And in the airport of San Francisco, my sister, Keshav Kanta, was the first of our family to get initiated, because Gurudev asked her, oh, do you know the Mahamantra? We were all sitting in darshan and, on the benches waiting for Gurudev to board. Do you know that? And she said, yes. And he said, can you repeat after me? Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda. She would repeat, Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And that way he, Brahmanda Brahmite Kona Bhagyavana Jeev, Guru Krishna Prashade Bhai, Bhakti Lata Bij. Srila Gurudev very mercifully, it is said that by Krishna's mercy, we meet a genuine associate of Krishna as his messenger in this world, or Guru. And that then by that Guru's mercy, we come to Krishna. So in 97, we all followed, myself and my father, we went to Kartik that year. And that year, my father in Kartik got Diksha and I got Harinam. So I was 9 at the time. And my father got Diksha. I remember we had darshan with Srila Gurudev afterwards. He gave me my name before I was Ram. So one of the things, again, bringing back the focus from Srila Gurudev, a lot of our family in general, there was kind of, we didn't understand exactly what is the highest aspiration of being in Braj and serving in Krishna Lila. And Gurudev gave us that. And so a lot of my family, my sister was Kunti. Gurudev gave the name Keshavakanta. My other sister was Rukmini. Gurudev gave the name Ragalata. My other sister, I have lots of sisters, Kanyakumari. Gurudev gave the name Kanupriya. My other sister, Madhuri, Gurudev gave the name Madan Mohini. And my littlest sister, she had the name Govinda Sundari. And Gurudev said, very nice. I'll keep it. Braj. So my name was Ram, but then Gurudev said, you are Rasik Mohan. Braj focus again. But my father, he was before Advaita Acharya, and Gurudev gave him the name Nanda Gopal. Actually, first there was a different name with like an A starting, but it wasn't so much Braj centric, and it was a little. So he said, "Oh, give me something Braj related." So Nanda Gopal. But that year when my father got Diksha, I remember being in the room with Gurudev, and just very innocently, I was like 9, My father got Diksha, so I was like, Gurudev, when is my turn? Like you're giving him the second level, And so Gurudev said, oh, maybe next year a new Braj. I said, okay, I'm going to hold you to it, Gurudev. And he said, okay, we'll see. So when he came to New Braj in 97, the rest of my family all got Harinam. But Gurudev was very merciful and he gave me Diksha. And I remember my Gurukul teacher, Brajendra Nandan Prabhu, was also there in the room, and he again heard the mantras. Gurudev would sometimes mercifully allow us to again hear the mantras, to kind of again strengthen our conviction and strengthen our focus, because Gurudev would also explain them in brief very sweetly. So from that time onward, just being in the association of the devotees in those festivals, it's something that's really incomparable. Gurudev would say that these festivals will be remembered for thousands of years, because the potency of being in such an environment where there's Shuddha Harikatha, pure transcendental sound vibration from an associate of Krishna, in a community of devotees where everyone is centered on that one pointed focus. There's no ulterior motive. There's no, hustle or game going on. It's just that when Gurudev came, he said, I'm not coming to take anything from you. I'm only coming to give you this treasure of Krishna Prem. The only thing I ask is the most important thing is your heart, your ears. And through your ears, Harikatha says, Shrutek Shita. The Bhagavatam says, the sadhu gives darshan of Krishna through the ears by the sound of his transcendental Harikatha. And then he awakens our innate or dormant tendency of love for Krishna. And so Srila Gurudev would do that. And from early on, I don't know what it was, but I would see Srila Gurudev come 98 every year. And I started, every year I was lucky enough to go to Kartik with my father. And 97, we took the whole family. So, my father went into credit card debt. We would take 8 people and, the tickets and the passports and the visas and the festival fees. And we'd be paying off this debt for, years and years and years. But it was like so important to take that opportunity to, it says that life after life, we're born in this world, we get families, we have work, we have societies, but how often do we get the chance to be with the Mahabhagavat, a pure devotee, associate of Radha Krishna, to be in Braj? This is following the instruction of Rupa Goswami. Be in Braj with the Mahabhagavat, hearing Harikatha, going on parikrama, absorbing your mind in this. Manmana bhava mad bhakto. Then your life becomes truly successful. So we would all just follow around behind Gurudev in this kind of transcendental caravan, going to Europe, going to Australia, going to Maui or Hawaii, the big island, going to Alachua, going to Houston, going to San Francisco, to Los Angeles. Everyone would do whatever they could, Our whole clock of this yearly calendar revolved around Kartik, Navadvip Parikrama, New Braj Festival, Houston Festival, Alachua Festival, London Festival, England, if it was France or if it was Germany or wherever it would be, everyone was thinking, oh, how will I get to the next festival? Because in those festivals, it felt like you were truly alive. Your soul had found its true meaning and purpose. And so with Srila Gurudev, I just remember, Srila Gurudev, he's coming, but he's not just this person that we see. He's actually Radha Krishna's associate. And in that group of his associates, he's Radhika's Balyadasi. And this is such a strange thing to have that idea as a young boy. Oh, here's Gurudev. He's arrived. Gurudev would be coming and we would wait and do Kirtan for like 2 hours before Gurudev would arrive, because it's like the whole year. Some people hadn't seen him for a year or 6 months. The thirst is increasing again and again to see him. And so before he would come, we'd all be waiting for hours and we'd be decorating and arranging the festival site for weeks. And then we would all be doing Kirtan and Gurudev would arrive and he would come out of the car with Brajanath Prabhu, with Madha Maharaj, Pundarik Prabhu, so many of his close, Brinda Didi. And when Gurudev would come, you'd be thinking like, Radha Krishna, they've sent their Manjari and he's here to greet us. We're here to greet him. He's here to meet us. And it's just such a special opportunity. And so I just remember some of my strongest recollections from childhood and then growing up with Gurudev is the importance of taking responsibility for Guru Seva, and how this is such an important thing that Gurudev teaches us, that we are on this spiritual journey to finally develop that relationship with Gurudev, that relationship of love with Krishna. And yet, Gurudev also wants us to help others. And so when I was just a boy, 10 years old, Gurudev was like, I want you to become a brahmachari and to serve my mission. And when you're young, it's like, that's a pretty heavy conception, because, growing up, what do you want to be? Firefighter, sports athlete, this or that. Okay, now I'm supposed to become, a monk and serve my whole life in some kind of mission. But every year, Gurudev would say, oh, you're this tall. Now, when you're like this, I want you to come to the mat, become a brahmachari, serve my mission. And it's like every year, every time he would see me 2-3 times a year, he would tell me like that. And so I grew up with that sense of the need for a sacrifice and responsibility to serve. Understanding that while our own journey is paramount, it's also important to develop the mood of seva to our guru. And not that we are serving others or serving the mission for the purpose of pleasing or satisfying or getting adoration from other people. No, Gurudev desires this. He's on this mission himself. And he just is looking for people to follow him on this path, because in the service of that mission, we can again and again come closer in our own spiritual journey towards that goal and following the Shiksastakam, developing that mood of, oh Krishna, however you want to accept me or reject me, I'm yours. And just recently, I was translating Jiva Goswami and Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's Gayatri commentaries. And the Goswamis write specifically about when they discuss the aphorisms that the Mayavadis impersonalists propagate, that Tattvamasi, you are that, you are God, and you just have to forget that God has forgotten that he is God, and he is now in bewilderment, and he thinks he's the jiva in this world, and ultimately you are that. And the Goswamis say, no, that is a misinterpretation, and they give the proper grammatical setup of the aphorisms and say, no, it means I am yours. It means you are his. Tat tvam asi, you are his. And realize the necessity of developing that loving relationship with him, and that can give your soul true meaning. And just yesterday, we do a weekly Jaiva Dharma study group where we all sit and read and discuss. And we're reading in the second chapter about Advaita Siddhi, the perfection of true yoga. Yoga means coming together. Gurudev would say, why do we pray like this? It's a universal symbol of prayer. One hand represents the soul, one hand represents God. Bhakti yoga is bringing them together. On that elevated stage of prem, divine love, Krishna, the supreme absolute truth, the infinite entity, comes to the level of the soul, and the soul comes up to the level of Krishna, and they develop this mood of prem where they forget Krishna is God. The soul forgets, I'm just a finite particle of consciousness, the servant of Krishna, and they simply have a relationship of love. That is Advaita Siddhi, the perfection of prem, because that divine love is what gives the finite soul the infinite power in which to even conquer over the infinite. Like Mother Yashoda was able to sit Krishna down. No, I will go and rescue the milk. And Krishna's holding on tightly, God himself, but Mother Yashoda simply very easily puts him down. I will go save the milk. Why? She has that mood that anything in relation to Krishna, for the service of Krishna, is even more important than myself or my direct relation to Krishna, because that's that mood of mamata. We were reading just last night. Radharani says in Prem Samput, and I'll end with this. Radharani speaks very beautifully about what is true love. And it's such a special book. I really recommend anybody, if you really want to hear from Radharani herself about what is the true nature of Prem, then you should read Prem Samput that Gurudev translated and by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. And Gurudev also commented on. So Krishna comes disguised as a heavenly damsel in order to criticize himself to Radharani and see how she responds. And he tells the story that, oh, I once heard that flute song of Krishna even in the heavenly planets, and I was so attracted I came to Braj all this way here. And then I saw how Krishna treated you all, and I was so angry at that, how he, almost very harshly treated you all. He said, oh, I'm only your beloved. And yet then he would meet with everyone else and break your hearts. And so I've come to meet with you and hear from you. You're so sweet and devoted in one point, and yet Krishna is so cruel. And then Radharani, for many verses, describes what is real love. And she says that those who have not realized and tasted that prem, that love, and who speak and preach about it, are only cheating themselves and others. That real prem is something that can ultimately not be described in words. It must be experienced. And therefore, every word of the Bhagavatam is glorifying that love and that prem. But if you're not having the vision to see it, then you may think it's this, it's about this, it's about this. But really, it's just about that prem. That prem is what makes Radha Krishna themselves dance. And then Radharani says that prem, you should take that seed of that, Shraddha, faith, the seed of prem, faith, and you should keep it very carefully protected in your heart like a small flame. Not let it be exposed outside, because then so many winds of different ideas and different association can blow it out. You must kindle that inside and let it develop. Bhava, bhakti, and ultimately to prem. And Radharani says that prem is so powerful that it destroys all obstacles. And she speaks very strongly. It's like verse 54, 55 in Prem Samput. That prem is like a lion. And a lion attacks and defeats all elephants. The prem is like a lion and it can defeat anything else. I hope everyone can still hear me. It sounds like the microphone changed. That prem is like an elephant. Sorry, that prem is like a lion. And it defeats the elephants and then eats them. And that nourishes their strength. And so any obstacle in the face of that love only nourishes it. Even if Krishna himself, Radharani says that if it's one's family members, if it's society, if it's any obstacles according to one's karma, according to anything, that obstacle, even Krishna going to meet another beloved, it only nourishes the prem because that prem is a powerful lion. And then she says, she goes even stronger in her terms. She says, all obstacles are like dogs and lions very easily devour all these dogs. And that prem is always victorious. And yet we must understand the importance of developing that prem, not merely going around and speaking about it. It's a very subtle distinction. We're serving our Gurudev as his messengers, but we must always take the time out for that, developing that relationship with Gurudev and with Seva Kunj, with Radha Krishna. Because if we lose that focus of in the morning chanting, in the evening chanting, doing some sadhana, if we're only absorbed in the mission and we don't focus on that development of that prem, then we'll become victims of that fraudulent nature that Radharani is telling about. Radharani says, those who go around speaking about prem do not have it, and therefore they cheat themselves and others. But those who have it, they can embed it or inspire it in others. So Srila Gurudev having that prem, when Gurudev was banned from preaching in ISKCON, Gurudev said, you have woken up the lion. And now that lion will go everywhere. And how will you hold that back? No elephant-like obstacle, no dog-like obstacle, nothing can hold that force back. Abada Karuna Sindhu Katya Mohan, Gare Gare Bule Prem Amiyaravan. Nityananda, real guru, he has that prem. Adi Lila 146, Swami Prabhupada says, the gurus in our line are accepted by all the authorized scriptures, by all our acharyas, to be the empowered manifestations of Lord Nityananda and the maidservants of Srimati Radhika, her intimate associates. So having that powerful prem, when they go everywhere, they break open all walls and barriers and dams, holding it back and spread the flood of that prem. And so coming in contact with Srila Gurudev, it's not just the Harikatha, it's not the philosophy, it's not just the tattva, it's the moments with Srila Gurudev. Seeing his sweet gestures, feeling his presence, getting sweets from him or any little interaction with him that stays with us. And that stays with us till the end of our lives. Even if we forget Gurudev for some time, his sweet meetings with us, that time with him pulls us back towards Krishna, because it was that moment of prem with Gurudev, that sweetness of Gurudev giving us that, Radharani basically says that when it's just a little candle in our heart, we have to very carefully protect it. But when the finite soul comes in contact with the infinite by the power of prem, then we get that infinite. Why it's so interesting is that Jaivadharma Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, when the finite comes in touch with the infinite through the power of love and devotion, then that finite spark of consciousness has the power to consume the entire universe, because its fuel is love. The fuel is prem and bhakti, and the soul is like a conscious spark of that sun of the transcendent entity Krishna. And so that spark has the power to ignite and fuel and burn down everything with the power of love. And so when that power of love is there, we can go and give it to everyone freely, because there's no limit of it. Then it's Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnamudachyate. It's complete. And so whoever you give it to, Gurudev would give bhakti. He would inspire people and give bhakti. It's not like Gurudev is diminished.
it's only more and more and more and more and more. And so I remember, sorry for going so long, but ending just on this note, I remember once when I was 13 or 14, Gurudeva had been telling me that, oh, you have to be a brahmachari, serve my mission. But that's not, the instruction is not, from a Mahabhagavad, that instruction is extremely powerful. But what I would like to say is more powerful even, is when you're in these festivals and you get a taste, even if it's only for a moment, why they say lava matra sadhu sangha, a moment association with the sadhu gives you all perfection. Sarva siddhi hoy. Because in those moments with Gurudev, I remember I was hearing Gurudev speak about Raghunath Das Goswami. And then we had a drama play about Raghunath Das Goswami, and then such a powerful kirtan. And that night, I just remember, it's like, oh, Krishna, Gurudev, if you want this, if you want me to offer my soul to Krishna, I can try. And it was such a powerful experience that was lasting a few days. And then, life goes on. You're not always at that peak moment. But those moments give you, it's like, if once you tell Krishna, I'm yours, Krishna says, okay, contract signed. You're mine. And then I feel like everything else will kind of end up leading you to that direction. And so it's those festivals with Srila Gurudev where we hear his Harikatha, where we hear him singing, where we have those interactions. Gurudev would give out sweets and we would all go up and take a cookie or a laddu. And, the Kartik festivals with Gurudev, where Gurudev would go to do Anukut and Giriraj and say, I am praying on your behalf. Gurudev would go to Anukut, Giriraj, and saying, Giriraj will give whatever you desire. But then you might desire the wrong thing. So I am praying on your behalf, and you should repeat after me, Tavevasmi, Najivami Tvaya Vina, Iti Vigyaya Rathe Tvam, Nayamam Charantike. And Gurudev would say, this is a very high thing, but if I don't preserve it and give it to the world, it will be lost. So you should worship this ideal on your altar. And we do that by Seva Kunj. We worship this ideal of the glories of the Braja Gopis and Srimati Radhika and her service by I think probably 90 or more % of the devotees of Srila Gurudev have Seva Kunj in their house somewhere. And Gurudev said, this is my heart. This is your goal. And we may not be able to yet grasp that, but if we can just develop respect for it, then our Vaishnavas say that you may not, if you get that attainment or you have that mood, then Radharani or Krishna will give you whatever place is proper for you. But first, you must develop respect for that. If you cannot respect that message of Chaitanya Charitamrita, that message of Mahaprabhu, Anarpita Chirim Chirat Samarpaitum Unata Ujvala Rasam Svabhakti Shriyam. If you cannot understand and respect what Mahaprabhu wanted to give, then your progress in devotional life will be very difficult. So develop honor and respect for that exalted thing. And just have faith in your Gurudev that is a very beautiful and special thing. And I've heard from the Vaishnavas, it's a very difficult thing to grasp, but just follow the process and it will come to you. So thank you so much for inviting me on, to you all, and Dandavat pranams to everybody. Vancha kalpatrubhyasya kripa sindhuveva chapritanang pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Rasika and Prabhu. Sorry, Yashodananda Prabhu is listening, but is on the move somewhere, so he can't actually conclude. But what I wanted to say was that you've so eloquently merged your memories with Srila Gurudev with his Vani, and it's just so beautiful, and it's very inspiring because for someone like me who doesn't know anything, just to imbibe what he came to give, and how, I think I'm now realizing how rare someone like Srila Gurudev is in our life, and what he gave. Even when we look at other Gaudiya mats and outside, they may not have a clear goal, but with Gurudev's Sangha, everyone has that clear one goal, and that's Radhadasyam. And Gurudev really imbibed that and embedded that within our hearts from the start. It was never like a slowly get there. The first time you met him, you would know Radhadasyam is your goal, and progress through that. And you really spoke very beautifully, and you spoke about how you know, Gurudev setting the goal, and Arjun, and Gurudev gave us that one pointedness to our goal, and not just our goal, but to him and Parampara, etc. So I'm just really, really fortunate, and I'm just glad that you came and spoke such beautifully about Srila Gurudev, and I'm really looking forward to hopefully coming out to the ashram in New York, as many of us are. So hopefully we'll be able to come and do a festival. So I think you've got 80 acres of land or something like that, right?
60,
so
yeah.
Yes, so if you don't mind, we'll find a small spot in the ashram, Gurudev's ashram, to come and visit. So thank you so much for coming on. So we have now concluded on our 26th. I think this is our 27th week, not our 26th week. I think we've got it wrong, but I'll go back. Anyways, whatever. We've concluded on our 26th or so 27th week of our 64. So we're really looking forward to devotees coming back next week and coming to glorify. So one thing that me and Yashodhana will request is that anyone that can speak some glories about Srila Gurudev or some memories about Srila Gurudev, please come. And if you know someone that would speak also, please come, because Gurudev is not just affecting the hearts of those that he met, he's still affecting the hearts of many that are still new to the Sangh. And you know, by just merely hearing his Harikatha or merely seeing his photos, Gurudev is empowering everyone and inspiring everyone. So I request that if you can, please come and speak to myself or Yashodhana Prabhu, so we can bring you onto our program to speak about the glories of Srila Gurudev. So with that, I will ask Nalini Didi if she's there to conclude with Kirtan, and then we will close class. Nalini Didi, are you there? Prabhu.
Yes, I'm here. Just 1 second.
Thank you.
Right, here we go. Yeah. Hi again, Haribol. So I'm gonna finish with Brajajana Manasukakari 366. Okay. Shri Radhe Braja Janamana Sukhakari Radhe Shamo Shamo Sham Shri Radhe Braja Janamana Sukhakari Radhe Shamo Shamo Sham Shri Radhe Braja Janamana Sukhakari Radhe Shamo Shamo Sham Mor Mukuta Makara Krita Kondala Gala Vajayanti Mala Mor Mukuta Makara Krita Kondala Gala Vajayanti Mala Charananupura Rasala Radhe Shamo Shamo Sham Shri Radhe Charananupura Rasala Radhe Shamo Shamo Sham Shri Radhe Braja Janamana Sukhakari Radhe Shamo Shamo Sham Shri Radhe Braja Janamana Sukhakari Radhe Shamo Shamo Sham Sundara Vadana Kamala Dalalochana Baki Chita Banahari लोचन बाकी चित बनहारी मोहन वंशी बिहारी राधे श्याम श्यामो श्याम श्री राधे मोहन वंशी बिहारी राधे श्याम श्यामो श्याम श्री राधे ब्रज जन मन सुखकारी राधे श्याम श्यामो श्याम श्री राधे ब्रज जन मन सुखकारी राधे श्याम श्यामो श्याम वृंदावन में धेनु चरावे गोपी जन मनहारी वृंदावन में धेनु चरावे गोपी जन मनहारी श्री गोवर्धन धारी राधे श्याम श्यामो श्याम श्री राधे श्री गोवर्धन धारी राधे श्याम श्यामो श्याम श्री राधे ब्रज जन मन सुखकारी राधे श्याम श्यामो श्याम श्री राधे ब्रज जन मन सुखकारी राधे श्याम श्यामो श्याम राधा कृष्ण मिलिया बदो गौर रूप अवतारी राधा कृष्ण मिलिया बदो गौर रूप अवतारी कीर्तन धर्म प्रचारी राधे श्याम श्यामो श्याम श्री राधे कीर्तन धर्म प्रचारी राधे श्याम श्यामो श्याम श्री राधे ब्रज जन मन सुखकारी राधे श्याम श्यामो श्याम श्री राधे ब्रज जन मन सुखकारी राधे श्याम श्यामो श्याम तुम बिना मेरे और न कोई नाम रूप अवतारी तुम बिना मेरे और न कोई नाम रूप अवतारी चरणन में बलिहारी राधे श्याम श्यामो श्याम श्री राधे नारायण बलिहारी राधे श्याम श्यामो श्याम श्री राधे ब्रज जन मन सुखकारी राधे श्याम श्यामो श्याम श्री राधे ब्रज जन मन सुखकारी राधे श्याम श्यामो श्याम राधे 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 श्याम 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 राधे श्याम राधे श्याम 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 राधे श्याम श्री राधे ब्रज जन मन सुखकारी राधे श्याम श्यामो श्याम श्री राधे ब्रज जन मन सुखकारी राधे श्याम श्यामो श्याम हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Nitai Gora Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gora Hari Bol, Nitai Gora Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gora Hari Bol. Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Thank you. Thanks, Yashodhari.
No, thank you.
Thank
you.
you.
Have an angelic voice.
Uh,
It always brings a smile on my face.